Family Cultivation. I can improve my magic weapon. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 201, Dispute over Jade Fruit. The remaining half of the spiritual medicine was not picked. 1/3 of the sacred water of all things was left. These treasures can be collected later when they return. Everyone simply sorted them out and continued to move forward. They left the medicine garden area and walked for half a cup of tea. The surrounding land began to become barren, and the temperature was hot, as if they had walked from spring to hot summer. Everyone stopped again and did not move forward, because when they came here, a huge spiritual tree lay in front of them. To be precise, it was the lush branches and leaves of the spiritual tree, the huge trunk, and the rich spiritual charm gathered on the tree that attracted them to stop. Looking up, I saw that the whole tree was lush with branches and leaves. The palm-sized leaves were octagonal, and the color of white jade could be seen by the naked eye. The trunk was the same, mainly crystal-like jade. What is more eye-catching is near the center of the tree, there was a green fruit hanging alone, not integrated with the tree itself. Instead, it looks very abrupt and eye-catching, and it can attract people's attention at a glance. The white jade trunk, branches and leaves, and only one green fruit. The fruit is similar to the shape of a carambola, emitting a faint emerald green glow, as if breathing in and out. I don't know if it felt the human breath. The fruit shook slightly a few times, the light flashed, and it was quite smart. In this world, there are countless fruits of various shapes, emerging in an endless stream. Some grow in the ground, some are born in flowers and plants, and some are hung on vines. It is also very common to bear on the tree like the one in front of you. But the magic is that there is only such a fruit on such a large tree, which is very unusual. Such a significant feature, combined with their rich spiritual energy gathered around, just observed for a moment, a name emerged in Chen Qingyun's mind. Yuqiang fruit. This is the spiritual fruit of heaven and earth produced by the Yuqiang spirit tree. According to the records in the Chen family's collection, this tree is particularly picky about the environment and only grows in dark and hot places. It can't grow without darkness, and it can't grow without hot places. Both are indispensable. It is common in dark areas without sunlight, but it is rare to see hot and dry areas. When there is a place that meets the growth environment, this tree will grow up and produce a single fruit every 300 years. This Yuqiang fruit concentrates the power of the entire spirit tree and takes 300 years to mature. Naturally, it has a unique effect. The Yuqiang spirit liquid contained in the fruit, that is, the juice, can instantly restore all the mana of a purple mansion cultivator as long as one drop is taken. It has such a magical effect on purple mansion cultivators, not to mention foundation building cultivators. One drop of Yuqiang spirit liquid is enough to restore the mana to a full state. For foundation building cultivators to take it, it can even be said to be a bit of a waste of natural resources. The Yuqiang spirit fruit was found here. Judging from the color of the fruit, it has already matured. Chen Qingyun sighed secretly. It seems that a fight is about to start, and no one wants to miss this opportunity. As expected. This thought just emerged in Chen Qingyun's mind. Originally in the stage of watching, two figures, one purple and one white, suddenly moved, stirring up a vast spiritual power and taking action. Nangong Ming and Linksai had clear goals and rushed straight to the Jade Cayenne fruit at the same time. Although Zhuo Xiangwen did not recognize the origin of the Jade Cayenne spirit tree. But Nangong Ming, a proud son of heaven with a superior family background and high vision, could not help but take action at this time. It can be imagined how extraordinary the white jade fruit is. So, after the two of them, Zhuo Xiangwen could not remain calm at all, and he started the light body technique and swooped towards the Jade Cayenne fruit. In just a moment, 3 of the 6 people present took action. For some reason, Sun Tai and Taoist Huayu did not take action, but watched coldly. It is not known whether they did not recognize the origin of the fruit or were not interested in fighting for it. Swish, swish, swish. 4 figures moved together, and the fourth one was Chen Qingyun. Nangong Ming displayed his mysterious body skills and rushed forward. When Lingxi dived, she flicked her gauze sleeves and a red silk swept out. Zhuo Xiangwen used a rope magic weapon and shot forward. Chen Qingyun was more simple and rough, surrounded by five-color divine light, and directly used the five-element sky escape, controlled the power, and also chose to attack. Such a spiritual essence of heaven and earth is right in front of us, how can we miss it? Under the attention of several people, with a swish, Chen Qingyun's figure turned into a stream of light, bringing a whistling sound of air friction, and rushed to the front first. In just a blink of an eye, Chen Qingyun, who was the last to attack, teleported more than 10 feet away, and rushed to the bottom of the Yuqiang spiritual tree. Then, he stretched out his hand and picked up the Yuqiang fruit. All of this happened in a flash. So everyone could only roughly see that Chen Qingyun had taken the lead and was already standing under the Yuqiang spiritual tree. Just when the Yuqiang fruit was picked, Lingxi's red silk came around and caught nothing. Following closely was Nangong Ming, who flew down and stopped moving forward. Then it was Zhuo Xiangwen, who retracted the rope in his hand in an instant like Lingxi, and failed to roll up the Yuqiang fruit. What a fast speed! Seeing Chen Qingyun strike back but get the Yuqiang fruit first, Taoist Huayu narrowed his eyes and couldn't help but exclaimed, "Give me the fruit!" Nangong Ming stopped and saw Chen Qingyun unpacking the jade Qiang fruit. He was also surprised at Chen Qingyun's speed. His face darkened and he started to scold. "I'll only say it once. Give it to me." This proud son of the Qing sect was also eager to get the jade Qiang fruit. The atmosphere suddenly became tense. Lingxi and Zhuo Xiangwen did not get the fruit, so they immediately distanced themselves and formed a three-legged tripod with Nangong Ming, surrounding Chen Qingyun in the middle. The look in his eyes when he looked at the jade Qiang fruit was hard to hide his greed and covetousness. Even Taoist Huayu was tempted, staring straight at Chen Qingyun's palm, ready to attack at any time. Only Sun Tai remained calm and did not move, but his eyes were intentionally or unintentionally scanning Nangong Ming. It seemed that this jade Qiang fruit was not as interesting to him as Nangong Ming. Chen Qingyun seemed to be oblivious to the scolding, and gently stroked the Yuqiang fruit in his hand, feeling the pure spiritual power contained in it, and a satisfied smile appeared on his face. Immediately, in front of everyone, he held a Yuqiang fruit in his hand and glanced at the three people around him with an indifferent look. "Why do you want to rob it?" As soon as the voice fell, Chen Qingyun released all the aura of his cultivation without hiding it. At the same time, when his left hand flipped, he took out the five elements and dropped them to the ground, turning into a tall and upright figure standing beside him, just staring at everyone indifferently. Chapter 202 No need to share. I am determined to get this thing. Chen Qingyun's question made the originally tense atmosphere tense again and became even more explosive. For a moment, several people were deadlocked and refused to give up. He wanted to grab it, but when he felt the cultivation aura exerted by the five elements, Nangong Ming frowned and felt a little troubled. The pinnacle puppet in the foundation building period. He admitted that he underestimated Chen Qingyun, and he was still sure of snatching the Yuqiang fruit. Now, with the addition of this puppet, it suddenly becomes difficult. Reminiscent of Chen Qingyun's actions in the medicine garden before, urging the four qi refining stage puppets to quickly collect the divine spring of all things. He couldn't help but ask himself, how many puppets did Chen Qingyun have in his hands? If you take action at this time, and the other party summons another foundation building puppet, how should you deal with it? And how many people around you should you be wary of? For a moment, Nangong Ming was undecided. Unlike Nangong Ming, Zhuo Xiangwen was much weaker, hesitant and did not dare to take action alone. Facing the strength displayed by Chen Qingyun, he only felt that he lacked confidence. The only way is to make eye contact with Lingxi and Nangong Ming. Let's see if the three of them can join forces to kill Chen Qingyun. It's better to just stop here and put an end to the idea of taking action. Lingxi's expression was serious, with no hint of laughter at all. She stared at Yuqiang intently, weighing and hesitating in her heart. In the end, it was she who spoke first. Brother, Lu, why don't you give this jade fruit to my sister? Ling Zai's pretty face showed a smile again, and she walked towards Chen Qingyun with a flowery smile. Her jade fingers caressed her delicate and alluring apricot lips, and then slowly brushed her neck as white as a swan. Her frown and smile were particularly moving, exuding the ultimate pink charm. Her voice also became coquettish, and she spoke with a coquettish charm. My sister is interested in this fruit. As long as Brother Lu is willing to give it to me, I can satisfy your request. Just for a moment, the charm technique was used again, and Ling Zai's eyes flashed with a pink halo, making Chen Qingyun frown lightly. The moon sun orb automatically showed its power again, emitting bursts of warm power to stabilize Chen Qingyun's mind and eliminate the swaying evil thoughts. His whole person became extremely clear and clear, no longer affected by it in the slightest. Chen Qingyun's eyes flashed, and when he looked at Ling Zai, he quickly caught a glimpse of a cold light surging rapidly on the woman's jade fingertips. It was actually an extremely slender flying needle. It can be held in the opponent's hand and hidden like this. How can it be an easy flying needle? It is probably not inferior to the soul-penetrating bone nail of Giant Island. If he was hit by this trick, there would be no chance of survival. If the charm fails, then sneak attack and kill? This female is enchanting and enchanting, making people think of her. She is far from being as simple as she seems, otherwise she would have died countless times. How dare you come alone to explore this ancient cave? Ha ha ha. Seeing Ling Zai's hidden methods, Chen Qingyun suddenly laughed wildly without warning and said with great determination, "Promise me a request. I think you should think more about yourself and how to escape from this cave in the future." As soon as he said this, Ling Zai, who was still smiling, suddenly changed his expression and stopped there. There was a visible expression of shame and anger on his face, his beautiful eyes were like fire, his teeth bit his red lips, and he stared at Chen Qingyun without saying a word. Snort. The girl finally stamped her feet and screamed, and ignored him. Around them, seeing such a confrontation between Chen Qingyun and Ling Zai, Nangong Ming and others had solemn expressions, and no one would act rashly. After a long period of silence, a voice sounded again. "Are you going to swallow this jade fruit for yourself?" Nangong Ming directly ignored Zhuo Xiangwen's winking behavior and disdained to be with him, but opened his mouth to question. This directly pushed Chen Qingyun to the forefront and became the public enemy of everyone. Nangong Ming's reaction made Sun Tai raise his eyebrows. He had secretly activated the 3 moon discs surrounding him, and continued to keep an eye on Nangong Ming, as if looking for opportunities to launch an attack at any time. Facing the fiery gazes around him, as if he had become prey, Chen Qingyun had a sneer on his face, with no intention of explaining at all. He wanted the jade cayenne fruit, but he didn't dare to snatch it himself. Instead, he wanted to arouse everyone's anger and join forces to snatch it. Doesn't Nangong Ming pride himself on being extraordinary and superior? Why are you hesitating now? Where is the domineering one who went first? Seeing that Chen Qingyun was silent, Nangong Ming's face became a little ugly again. No one had ever dared to ignore him like this. He immediately gritted his teeth and shouted, "There is only one jade fruit. I advise you not to take it all to yourself. It is better to think about how to divide it." His words directly told the origin of Qingguang and reminded everyone what this thing was. Even if you didn't recognize it, you should know it now. The divisions mentioned later are even more meaningful. The meaning is nothing more than that among several people, even if one person cannot monopolize it, it is better to get some jade fruits each, which is worse than nothing. As soon as these words came out, even Taoist Master Hunyuan Sun Tai, who had no idea of snatching her, stared at Qingguang with burning eyes, with longing in their eyes. When Chen Qingyun heard this, the smile on his lips became a little thicker. He slowly shook his head and said, "I don't think the division is necessary." "Oh?" Zhuxiantu soon narrowed his eyes. Is this because he was shocked by Nangong Ming, knowing that he couldn't have it all to himself, and didn't want the jade cayenne fruit anymore? One less division means more divisions. It should have been done long ago. Zhuo Xiangwen was happy. However, Chen Qingyun's next words suddenly changed his expression and showed shock. No need to divide. I am determined to get this jade Qiyang fruit. This short sentence was said decisively, clearly showing Chen Qingyun's position, without any intention of retreating. Anyone who wants this fruit can fight. No one should even think of getting even a little bit of it. What did you say? After hearing this, Nangong Ming's face quickly turned the color of liver, and his eyes were full of anger. He obviously didn't expect that Chen Qingyun would dare to be so strong and decisive. He responded to him like this by fighting to monopolize the jade Qiyang fruit. For a moment, except for Lingxi, who didn't want to take action out of fear. The other three people also showed surprised expressions and didn't know how to speak. Chen Qingyun's meaning is already very clear, so there is no need to say any more nonsense. Either come and grab it, or give up. Zhuo Xiangwen frowned, slowly raised the rope magic weapon in his hand, and seemed to be ready to use it again, and said in a deep voice, "Friend, Lu, do you think you can fight against several of us at the same time with your strength? Aren't you afraid that two fists can't beat four hands, and you will die here for a Yuqian fruit?" Chen Qingyun's mouth curled up a smile, holding the Yuqian fruit in his hand, quietly responding to Zhuo Xiangwen's gaze, and said with determination, "You can try." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 203, Strange Desert. You can come and try. Chen Qingyun's behavior seemed to be an understatement. But the words contain the calm before the storm, implying thousands of waves. Once angered, it would probably cause a storm, which would be difficult to calm down without killing one or two people. Zhuo Xiangwen made a move, and when he met Chen Qingyun's gaze, he felt a cold glow coming over him. If he said a few more words, the other party would probably take action directly and kill him first to establish his authority. At this moment, Zhuo Xiangwen was shocked, and cold sweat quietly broke out on his forehead. The experience accumulated from licking blood on the tip of a knife for many years told him that he must not mess with the young man in front of him. A puppet at the peak of foundation building, coupled with his own strength in the later stages of foundation building. Just one of them is very difficult to deal with. Who knows if there are other trump cards? If you dare to come alone, you must be well prepared, and you are not a soft persimmon. It is not easy to take action rashly and show off your face here. Besides, let's not talk about whether we can or not, whether we are sure to grab the jade Qiyang fruit. Even if you get it by luck in the end, will you have the strength to keep it? He can snatch the jade Qiyang fruit from Chen Qingyun, but Lingxi and the others can't snatch it from him again. It's nothing more than grabbing and grabbing. No one wants to divide the fruit into six. The six people have no friendship, so why should they divide it? Thinking of this, Zhuo Xiangwen felt that it was not worth taking action. There was no need to fight to the death here. Not intending to be the first, his eyes wandered, paying attention to the expressions and actions of the other people, trying to see what they meant. The atmosphere fell into a dead silence, so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. Everyone looked back and forth between Wuxing, Chen Qingyun, and Yu Qiango, but none of them acted rashly. Seeing Chen Qingyun's calm look, Nangong Ming's face turned gloomy. This was the first time that he felt great danger from a peer. This reminds me of the amazing speed that Chen Qingyun displayed when fighting for the jade fruit. If this was used in a battle, and someone could kill him in an instant, would he be able to resist it? How many times can it be resisted? Chen Qingyun is not the only one who is the most powerful here. There is no need to fight to the death now. Others have to be careful, because who doesn't know that he comes from a superior family and is full of treasures. In the face of interests, there are both casual cultivators and demonic cultivators mixed together, and the identity of the core disciple of Xing sect is not easy to use. When it's time to be greedy, It's still okay to kill. The worst case scenario from now on is to escape from the Star Sea and go to other sea areas. This is not the time to show off when you are facing the people around you. Zhuo Xiangwen and Nangong Ming each had their own thoughts. They pondered and did not speak again, nor did they act rashly. Until the atmosphere started to feel depressing and uncomfortable. Never mind. Lingxi on the side suddenly said angrily. Brother, Luz will be whatever he says. I don't want this fruit anymore, so I'll just give it to you. After saying that, the woman put away the red silk magic weapon, stepped aside and pursed her lips. In Lingxi's opinion, where is the cave now? There is no need to waste your strength by fighting here just for a jade fruit. Seeing that a demonic monk like Ru Lingxi, who had a great background and was fearless, was frightened by Chen Qingyun and gave up. Zhuo Xiangwen was like a deflated rubber ball in an instant. He sighed and stepped away, but his eyes were still looking at the jade fruit, a little unwillingly. Among the three, two stepped back. Nangong Ming gritted his teeth secretly, hesitated again and again, knowing that there was no chance, and finally gave Chen Qingyun a hard look. Just wait for me. The few words that came out of his mouth were somewhat cold. Apparently he felt that he had lost face in front of everyone and had no steps to go down. Upon seeing this, Taoist Master Hunyuan Sun Tai looked silent. They didn't know what they were thinking, but they couldn't help but look at Chen Qingyun a few more times. Just one person was able to repel Nangong Ming and Lingxi, two of the most favored men of heaven. This person was definitely not simple. Zhuo Xiangwen was a casual cultivator who was fighting alone. It was normal for him to be afraid. Naturally, he did not dare to provoke him again. Sun Tai's eyes flashed and glanced at Nangong Ming, with a cold light flashing in his eyes. He no longer paid attention to Yuqiango, and was the first to move his body and continue moving forward. Seeing the three people retreating, Chen Qingyun put the Yuqiango into his storage bag, turned around with a faint smile, followed Sun Tai, and walked forward. In fact, if Nangong Ming and the three of them had just joined forces, it would be difficult for him to kill him in a short time. Maybe the three of them have some powerful cards in their hands, and I really have to hide here. However, even so, it is not a problem to bring one or two people to the funeral. But can they really work together? Not necessarily. It must be impossible. When they first met the five of them, they were on their own guard and would fight at any time. How can we work together until we face a life and death crisis? Nangong Ming prides himself on being superior and likes to look at people with his nose. How could he be willing to associate with the loose cultivators Zhuo Xiangwen and the demon cultivator Lingxi? As a demon cultivator, Lingxi is the one everyone deserves to be wary of. I'm really afraid that she will use it to practice martial arts and refining weapons. I won't talk about Zhuo Xiangwen. Everyone thinks he is the best. If they weren't too busy seizing the opportunity to fight, he would be the first to be eliminated. As for Taoist Master Hunyuan Sun Tai, Chen Qingyun is still unclear about their thoughts. I always feel that it is not as simple as it seems, and there are tricks. After passing through the Yuqiang spiritual tree, Chen Qingyun secretly thought it was a pity that such a big tree could not be taken away. Looking into the distance, he could no longer see the shadow of the green mirror. Everyone gathered their thoughts, kept their distance, and moved forward quickly. The further they walked along the road, the hotter the temperature became, and the strong waves of heat hit their faces. Chen Qingyun's expression was slightly condensed, and he found that there was a vast expanse of yellow sand in front of him, with continuous sand dunes one after another. What greeted them was a desert. After walking for a while, when everyone stepped into the desert, they felt that the temperature rose again, as if there were 10 suns shining across the sky, emitting scorching heat, and the temperature reached at least 50 degrees. In such an environment, mortals who stepped into this place would feel dry and thirsty in just a moment, and needed to drink water to quench their thirst, so it was not suitable to stay for a long time. For cultivators, this was nothing. It was just that they explored in the desert and walked a distance. Chen Qingyun began to feel the soles of his shoes were scorching hot. Under the high temperature, the surface temperature of these gravels accumulated to 60 or 70 degrees, and they were particularly hot to the touch. Looking around, There was no greenery or vegetation. All he could see was the boundless yellow gravel, which was a bit weird. Under the continuous high temperature, the air became restless, and even the space appeared blurred and distorted. Everyone began to feel the heat and unbearable, and they all used their magic power to cover their bodies with a thin spiritual shield to resist and isolate the surrounding high-temperature invasion, making themselves more comfortable. Chapter 204 Death Sandworm. Don't underestimate this simple spiritual shield. In order to save the true essence and mana, the 6 people can be said to have cast it very accurately. Almost all of them cast their spiritual power like a thin skirt, covering their clothes, skin, and even their hair, covering every hair. The small spell can roughly show how freely everyone can use the means of controlling the true essence. After experiencing the medicine garden and the jade fruit, they thought that there might be some kind of opportunity here, which needed to be carefully walked and investigated. Therefore, everyone did not choose to fly in the air, but decided to walk around first. As time went by, the surrounding temperature became higher and higher, and it was to the point where sweat dripping on the sand could be vaporized instantly. The long-term mana maintained the spiritual shield and resisted the invasion of high temperature. This gradually consumed everyone, and each secretly took pills to slowly restore mana while maintaining the spiritual shield. Among them, Qingguang Ming took the lead in making changes and had a better way to deal with it. He activated an ice-attributed magic jade pendant, and cast a faint ice power that swept across his body, thus playing a role in cooling and insulating. This jade pendant is only a first-level top grade one. It is better to maintain it with magic power, and only consumes about half of the power of the spiritual power shield. Following him, Sun Tai also made some moves. He also activated the ice-attributed magic weapon, the cold water ring, and his whole body was covered by a layer of water waves. The whole person looked like he was bathing in water. Ling's eye was not bad either. A blue gem was suspended above her head, emitting light that enveloped her whole body, diffusing a cold and faint fragrance, which made people feel ripples in their hearts. As for Taoist Hunyuan's Zhuxiantu, they did not have such means. In addition to envy, they could only continue to consume magic power to maintain the spiritual power shield in the most basic way. Chen Qingyun noticed the way everyone responded, and could clearly see the difference in strength between them. From the degree of possession of magic weapons alone, Taoist Hunyuan's Zhuxiantu were at a disadvantage. Chen Qingyun slowly activated the water and fire Taoist robe and used the water power in it. Like Sun Tai, his whole body was shrouded in water waves and felt extremely cool. He did this just to make himself comfortable and cool. He didn't worry about the consumption of mana, because there were still 2 divine sea blue lotus platforms with full true essence storage. Everyone used their own methods to form a whole in such an unfamiliar environment. From the original walking, they began to sacrifice their flying magic tools and speed up their travel speed. While being alert to the dangers that might appear at any time around them, they were also wary of each other. As the saying goes, what you fear will come to you. After walking a distance in the desert, there was a sudden movement in the originally calm sand. A violent bulge appeared in the sand not far from the few people, and rushed towards the crowd at a very fast speed. Humphrey. I don't know who snorted coldly. The nerves of the few people were already tense, and they noticed this unusual movement at the first time, and they all turned into birds and beasts and scattered, or retreated quickly, or took off into the air. Crash. A huge bloody mouth rushed out from the sand, with a hissing roar, and the huge snake-like body rose from the ground, bringing up a lot of sand and dust. The pungent smell of blood spread, with a hot wave. The creature that rushed out of the sand opened its bloody mouth and aimed at Sun Tai to bite him, wanting to swallow him in one bite. What is it? At the same time, Zhuxiantu, who was closest to Sun Tai, changed his expression, and hurriedly controlled the flying sword to soar into the air, staring at the direction of Sun Tai. Under him, the round mouth reached a diameter of 3 or 4 meters, revealing a series of blade-like teeth, surrounding a circle. Each tooth was as big as a bucket, extremely sharp, and ferocious, just biting Sun Tai straight away. Not to mention one Sun Tai, even if there were 10, they could be swallowed in one bite, without even leaving a bone. Seeing this, Sun Tai was locked as prey. The 5 people had no intention of helping. At the critical moment, Sun Tai activated the pair of silver-white wings behind him, creating a huge lift and rapidly raising his body. This pair of silver-white wings, called Wind and Thunder Sky Blade Wings, is a second-level top-grade weapon, containing wind and thunder attributes. At this time, it is the power of wind, which is famous for its speed. The Wind and Thunder Sky Blade Wings flapped like this, and the burst of power made Sun Tai fly more than 10 feet away and avoid the attack distance. At the same time, in front of him, the 3 moon wheels, driven by magic power, expanded into a triangular formation, and whistled down. This is a second-level top-grade magic weapon, the Magic Moon Golden Wheel, which belongs to the killing weapon and is Sun Tai's signature magic weapon. There was only a clang and the sound of metal contact. A golden wheel hit the fangs of the monster fiercely, breaking it in one fell swoop. The other 2 golden wheels slashed directly at the edge of the monster's mouth. Their sharpness cut off 2 pieces of flesh from the monster's mouth. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The monster roared in pain after being hit hard. The huge body fell to the ground, rolling and slapping, splashing sand and dust, making a bang 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 sound. What is this? Zhuo Xiangwen's eyes fixed, staring at the monster rolling on the sand. It was a huge insect-shaped monster, with a yellowish-brown body and dozens of short legs. It was good at hiding and almost blended into the desert, like an enlarged version of a millipede. The difference was that there was a huge mouth on its head, which looked like it was ready to bite people at any time, and it was hideous and terrifying. Chen Qingyun distanced himself from the monster and watched intently. A name flashed in his mind. Death Sandworm. There are countless monster insects in the world, each with its own form and strength. This death sandworm is one of the more common crawling monster insects that live in the desert. This monster insect can grow to the 2nd level at most, which is comparable to the strength of a human foundation-building cultivator. Their most notable feature is the round, black, huge mouthful of sharp teeth on their heads. When this huge mouth opens and closes, they swallow everything, whether it is a magic weapon, a rock, or a fellow creature. With a strong stomach, even metal can be digested. Once a cultivator is swallowed, even if he is still alive in the monster's stomach, he will be dissolved by the other party's highly corrosive stomach acid, and his end will be horrible. Not only that, the monster insect also has the terrible ability to control the wind and sand, and roll up sandstorms and sandstorm hurricanes. If a cultivator of the same level encounters it, it will surely be dangerous, hence the name Death Sandworm. Is it the Death Sandworm? After Chen Qingyun, Nangong Ming also recognized the origin of the monster. When he raised his sword eyebrows, he avoided it with disdain, not wanting to fight with it and dirty the magic weapon. What he hated most was these bugs. It is the Death Sandworm, such a rare monster bug, we actually encountered it. Taoist Hunyuan nodded slowly, staring at the Death Sandworm, with a hint of joy in his eyes. Chapter 205, Chasing. While Chen Qingyun and the other 5 were unaware, Taoist Master Hunyuan was secretly delighted. The Phantom Moon Golden Wheel came out together, slashing rapidly in the air, making a friction sound of tearing the air, and slashed straight down again, revealing a cold edge. Sun Tai's expression was cold, and he was already furious after being attacked by the Death Sandworm. If he made a fool of himself in front of everyone, how could he establish his dignity and intimidate people? So, he simply turned from passive to active, and launched a fierce attack in an instant. The Death Sandworm was severely injured, and the sand and dust flew as it rolled, trying to avoid the attack of the Phantom Moon Golden Wheel, but its evasion speed was still a little slow. Puff puff puff. 3 consecutive sounds. The Phantom Moon Golden Wheel crossed the void, and with a distance of more than 10 feet between them, it cut the Death Sandworm into 4 pieces. The broken body of the Death Sandworm fell to the ground, exploding with pungent, smelly green blood. Even though the upper body was broken into several pieces, it had reached the mid-stage of foundation building, and its vitality was still strong. Everyone saw it dancing with its broken body, and escaping into the sand in a panic. HMPH. Sun Tai's eyes turned cold, and he did not use the magic moon golden wheel again, but threw it in his hand. A black round bead suddenly flew out, and it was filled with thunder power, runes flowed, and contained the power of heaven. Rumble. A huge roar exploded, and rolling waves of fire spread. The death sandworm was submerged by this fierce bombardment when only half of its body escaped into the sand. The huge body was blown to pieces, and countless sand and dust were scattered and rolled. Everyone used their own magic to protect themselves and resist the flying flesh and sand. "Oh, it's so dirty, so dirty!" Ling Zai cried out in pain, and she grumbled a few times. Obviously, as a girl, she couldn't stand the blood and flesh of such monsters on her body, and she didn't even want to be stained with sand and dust. Qingguang also looked disgusted. When the dust settled, he immediately used the self-cleaning function of his robe, not caring about his magic power, to remove the monsters and foreign objects that didn't exist on his body, and became obsessed with cleanliness. Tian, lazy Taoist, Hunyuan flicked the whisk in his hand, took a look at the body of the dead sandworm that was blown into pieces, and recognized the means used by Sun Tai. Immediately, he looked at a fist-sized green object that fell on the sand, and his eyes were shining. The demon pill of the dead sandworm. It can be preserved intact in such a violent explosion. I don't know if it was a coincidence, luck, or this demon pill was hard enough. It immediately attracted everyone's attention. However, for this second-level demon pill, no one came forward to pick it up at this time. The inner pills of the death sandworm are not used for other demon beasts. The violent evil spirit and severe toxicity contained in them are not suitable for refining pills or magic tools. However, for demon cultivators, this thing is very useful and can fit many demon cultivation practices. Taking it directly can be equivalent to a year of hard practice. But the side effects are also very obvious. It is very easy for the evil spirit to enter the body, which takes several months of consumption and elimination, affecting the mind, becoming violent and bloodthirsty, and emotionally unstable. Several people understand the characteristics of this demon pill, and their eyes can't help but look at Linksai. As a demon cultivator from the fantasy demon island, this thing is probably very suitable for this woman to swallow and practice. Among those present, no one is more suitable than her. Look at what I'm doing. Sensing everyone's gaze, Linksai raised her eyebrows, glanced at the demon pill on the ground, and said with a disdainful tone, "This damn thing is not a Yukian fruit, I don't want it, whoever wants it can take it." When saying this, Linksai did not forget to glare at Chen Qingyun. This little action, combined with the meaning of the words, was obviously saying to Chen Qingyun, "Why don't you take the demon pill in your hand and eat it yourself?" So strong before. A second-level demon pill. Seeing that several people seemed to have no interest in taking it, Chen Qingyun looked normal and had no intention of picking it up. He was about to move forward, when he suddenly noticed something and looked at the sand not far away. At a glance, he saw that the originally calm sand was moving again, and at the same time, several bulges appeared and moved rapidly, converging towards them. The perception of Taoist Huayu and others was not low. They noticed this movement, and then recalled the situation of the death sandworm before, and they realized something in an instant. With no intention of staying at all, Qingguang frowned, stepped on the flying star boat, and flew directly towards the end of the desert. In just a blink of an eye, he moved several hundred feet away and was out of sight. "Damn, this kid is really smart." Zhuxiantu hummed, followed Qingguang, and turned into a stream of light and flew away in an instant. Linksai and the others around him also dispersed, raised their bodies, and flew quickly forward when the death sandworms attacked. Chen Qingyun took the lead and set up the escape boat and soared into the air. When he looked back and looked at the demon pill, it was gone. "I don't know who picked it up secretly. What's going on? Not taking it openly, but taking it secretly. Among the few people, only Linksai is a demon cultivator. Who else would be interested in the demon pill of the death sandworm? But now is not the time to pay attention to who will get the demon pill. Hula. More than a dozen death sandworms emerged from the ground, all of which have reached the foundation building stage. They opened their bloody mouths while roaring, and each locked on the target and launched an attack. At first, It was just a death sandworm that launched a sneak attack, and anyone present could kill it instantly. At this time, facing a group of sandworms, it was not as simple as a one-on-one fight. All 6 people were attacked. A bunch of evil beasts. Qingguang, Ming shouted, and sacrificed a black ring, which was unfolded and suspended in front of him. This thing is called the Flame Ring, which is a fire-attributed magic weapon. It can release flames to burn the enemy. The grade is already the best among the second-grade ones. As he controlled the Flame Ring, a strong flame gushed out and went straight to the death sandworm that opened its mouth to swallow it. Hot, and overbearing. The rolling flames were half a foot in size, and they rushed straight into the opponent's huge mouth at an extreme speed, sending out a hissing sound of high temperature. It was like a hot and red iron block was put into cold water, and billowing mist came out. Being pierced through the intestines by such high temperature flames is undoubtedly fatal. The burning power of the flames rapidly corroded the body, internal organs, and body of the death sandworm, which instantly became charred and completely dead. At the same time, Lingxi, Zhuxiantu, Taoist Huyu and others took action, not daring to be careless. 5 attacks were launched in succession. Lingxi used the Ice Soul Cold Light Thorn, violently shooting out more than a dozen ice spikes. Zhuxiantu held a Red Lotus Immortal Sword and cut out Red Sword energy. Sun Tai sacrificed the Magic Moon Golden Wheel, once again showing the killing power of this magic weapon. Taoist Huyu waved the pure jade dust, rolling out streams of light. Chen Qingyun urged the flying knife of cutting the void, which fell from the sky, whistling and making a roaring sound, with unparalleled power. In just a few moves, the opponents of the 5 people were quickly solved. Seeing this, the other death sandworms around did not retreat, but became even more crazy. It has been a long time since any human cultivators appeared here. Chen Qingyun and the other 6 were extremely tempting delicacies to them. Seeing this situation, everyone did not want to waste their money here, so that the death sandworms or teammates could take advantage of the situation. Led by Chen Qingyun, the 6 people turned into streams of light and flew across the desert at high speed, avoiding the attacks of the death sandworms while flying towards the center of the cave. Although this kind of high-speed flight consumes mana, it is easier and safer than being surrounded and killed. 6 figures, panting and crisscrossing the desert, occasionally encountering the attacks of the death sandworms and resisting 1 or 2. More often, they flew at full speed without stopping for a moment. Logically speaking, avoiding the battle with the sandworm group in this way is the best choice. But when everyone had just shaken off the pursuing sandworm group, before they had time to celebrate and breathe a sigh of relief, something unexpected happened. Chapter 206 Sandstorm Insect Shadow. Zhuxiantu was not as simple as it seemed. He used his flying sword to fly quickly, and his speed actually caught up with the leader Chen Qingyun. Just as he was about to catch up, billowing sand and dust suddenly appeared in the void ahead. A large amount of yellow sand was rolled up, forming a turbid, violent sandstorm, and the world became turbid. Sandstorm. The way forward was blocked by a sandstorm, but Chen Qingyun did not enter rashly. He realized something and controlled the airship to drop its speed and hover in the air. Because Zhuxiantu was traveling too fast, it was too late to slow down at this time. With a huff, he shouted strangely at the top of his lungs, and was the first to rush into the sandstorm. Immediately afterwards, there was a panicked exclamation. It was difficult to hear what was being yelled, and the sound was covered by the violent sand, dust and wind. Seeing someone in the team react like this, it seemed like he had encountered something terrible. As long as those present are not fools and have a clear mind, they still don't understand that a greater danger has arrived. There seems to be some kind of terrifying existence in the sandstorm, and it's not that easy to take a detour. The area covered by this sandstorm, with the naked eye, has no end in sight on the left and right sides, as if it stretches across the entire desert. If you want to cross the desert, you have to dig in. But who dares to take such a risk? Taoist priest Huyu, Lingxi, Sun Tai and others did not think much at all and hurriedly gathered in the direction of Chen Qingyun and gathered together. It seems that the 4 of them are not willing to retreat and stay alone here. At this time, It is better to join forces and get through the immediate sandstorm crisis first. When the crisis came, everyone became united. The appearance of this kind of sand and dust is too strange. Could it be that the death sandworm is making waves and causing a sandstorm? Taoist priest Hunyuan's eyes flashed, and he tried to look inside through the layers of sand and dust, but found that his sight was too turbid and he could not see clearly at all. What else could it be if it weren't a sandworm? Ling Zai frowned slightly, but she did not forget to make fun of Zhuo Xiangwen, and said with a smile on her lips. Old man Zhuo was so scared that he cried out, "It seems that this sandworm is difficult to deal with. He may be buried in a sandstorm soon." The power of the sandstorm caused by the death sandworm is definitely not comparable to that of an ordinary sandstorm. The force sweeping through it was strong enough to tear the monk's body apart, leaving him lost in it and unable to discern his direction. If you are trapped in it for a long time, your mana will be consumed very quickly, and it will also be a great test for people's psychological abilities. Not to mention the instigator is still active inside, and will open his bloody mouth at any time, swallowing the person with the magic weapon in one fell swoop, turning it into food. It only took a few glances to determine the source of the crisis in front of him. The five people looked at each other for a few times, and reached cooperation in an instant. They realized that it would be inappropriate to act separately, and they would be easily defeated individually. The unknown danger is the most frightening. No matter how weak Zhuo Xiangwen is, he is still in the middle stage of foundation building. As a casual cultivator, if you can cultivate to this level, you must have some tricks to keep things under control. His previous exclamations were enough to indicate that he had seen the death sandworms that were difficult to deal with. In such a crisis situation, the five of them did not dare to underestimate the enemy, and they all made the best choice. Boom! In the violent sandstorm, a rumbling sound suddenly erupted, as if some thunderstorm was exploding. A large ray of light flashed, reflecting a huge figure emerging from the sandstorm. Then it was covered again by sand and dust. But even if it was such a fleeting figure, the five people had long been observing it carefully and saw it clearly. A word appeared in the minds of five people at the same time. Death sandworm? It really is. The difference is that this death sandworm is far superior to the previous ones in terms of size and strength. Comparing the two, they pale into insignificance. The strength of this one, at first glance, has at least reached the level of the late stage of foundation building. The four of them, Linksai, pondered attentively, and none of them had any idea of rescuing Zhuo Xiangwen. Realizing that they should not take risks easily, they gathered together tightly, followed Chen Qingyun's footsteps, retreated towards the back, and opened up enough reaction distance. "Help me!" The sound of panic came again, this time with the blessing of magic power. The sound was extremely clear. Chen Qingyun and others turned a blind eye to Zhuo Xiangwen's plea for help. They just watched with frowns, paying attention to whether there were other potential threats around them, and wanted to see how long Zhuo Xiangwen could last. While several people were waiting, a figure rushed out of the sandstorm in panic. Holding a Zhuanyan thunderstorm talisman in his hand. Who could it be if it wasn't Zhuo Xiangwen? When several people saw Zhuo Xiangwen's embarrassed appearance after suffering such a loss, and then glanced at the talisman in his hand, they suddenly understood. Obviously, the previous roaring thunderstorm and flashing light were caused by this person. As a second-level middle-grade talisman, one blow failed to kill the death sandworm, and the situation became even more tense. The second-level best, at least the second-level best sandworm? The flying sword swung violently on his feet and quickly gathered around Chen Qingyun and others. Zhuo Xiangwen couldn't hide the look of panic on his face. He was still frightened and hurriedly revealed the opponent's strength. "Everyone, please take action quickly and don't delay any longer." This urging made Chen Qingyun and the other five people step back again. They were fixed on the scene in the sandstorm, and could see the huge sandworm dancing and roaring, with a particularly terrifying momentum. The ability of the death sandworm is not only its terrifying mouth, but also its ability to crush the second-level magic weapon. It has the ability to control the sand, which should not be underestimated. Ordinary sand can only blow people into the sky, or bury them, and temporarily lose their way. But the sandstorm cast by the death sandworm is not simple, not only covering, but also sweeping a large area. And each grain of sand becomes as hard as iron under the blessing of demon power, and with the high-speed rotation of the wind, it is enough to pierce the monks with thousands of holes. Zhuo Xiangwen seemed to be just caught in the sandstorm and lost for a few breaths. Soon, he used his spiritual sense to explore and locked the position of Chen Qingyun and others, and escaped in time. However, this consumed a second-level talisman and about 20% of his magic power to cast the defensive magic weapon Xuanwu armor to protect himself. Otherwise, if he was a little slower, he would have been beaten to pieces by the sharp sand and died with hatred. "Why, are you so flustered? It's just a sandworm?" Nangang Ming snorted coldly. Although he said it was okay, his body was very honest. He activated the protective magic weapon and condensed a thick defensive shield around him. Chen Qingyun and others had already taken action. They each used magic weapons or cast spells to protect themselves. They knew what this level of sandstorm meant. Chapter 279 Condensed Mysterious Water Mirror. If we are in other places and encounter this kind of sandstorm blocking the road, they would have turned around and left long ago without any further entanglement. But the current situation is forcing us to solve this problem. How can we continue to go deep into the cave? Rather than continue to consume mana here to cool down, encounter the swarm of sandworms behind you and wait for death. It would be better to work together to resolve the crisis at hand. As the sandstorm swept over, several people had a brief tacit understanding and quickly retreated. "Do it." Chen Qingyun spoke loudly, knowing that if he retreated a few steps further, he would be faced with attacks from the front and rear by swarms of sandworms and sandstorms, and there was no room for delay. Hearing this, Taoist priest Huiyu and others looked at each other and actually acquiesced to this approach. They dispersed one after another to form a formation against the enemy. Wow. Sun Tai moved his sleeves and threw out a wind-fixing bead, which was thrown directly into the sandstorm. The originally roaring sand and dust suddenly became much quieter due to the presence of the wind-fixing bead. With the wind-fixing pearl as the center, hazy light shone out, and there was no wind in the surrounding area of 100 feet. When everyone saw this scene, they were thinking of crossing it in this way. But the next moment, something unexpected happened. With a bang, large clouds of sand and dust rose up, sweeping across in a mighty manner, whining along with the strong wind. In the hazy light, a huge figure stood upright and spit out the wind-fixing pearl, causing Sun Tai to frown and quickly collect it. But after all, it was a step too late. No one thought that that huge body would open its mouth to swallow the wind-fixing pearl. Huchichi. The wind-fixing pearl continued to emit power, and the light it emitted was quickly blocked until it was extinguished and swallowed whole. Waste. Nangang Ming sneered, taking this opportunity to activate the flame ring, releasing strong flames surging forward. The magical weapon was swallowed in front of everyone. Sun Tai's face was already ugly. Now he was scolded by Nangang Ming again, and anger could be seen on his face. He glanced hard at Nangang Ming, and tossed his sleeve again. This time, the balls were also thrown, but the difference was that the number reached 2, both of which were Tanlzi. Looking at Ling's eye again, a mirror appeared in her hand. During the activation, the ice on the mirror condensed, and a bright beam of light burst out, hitting the death sandworm directly. This object is called the Jiayu Ning Zhuan Shui mirror, a second-level top quality, and is another one of her special treasures. After witnessing the Dingfeng pearl being swallowed by the death sandworm, she was naturally reluctant to use the ice soul cold light thorn to attack again. Because of the light attack, it is the fastest. In less than the blink of an eye, the light emitted by the Ning Zhuan Shui mirror hit the opponent's head with a pop. Visible to the naked eye. The location where the death sandworm was hit by the ice beam quickly condensed into cold ice. This bone-chilling chill spread quickly, covering the entire body of the death sandworm, freezing it firmly. This kind of ice-blocking attack can only restrain its huge body and its peak foundation-building strength for 1 or 2 breaths. But just 1 or 2 breaths of time is enough to determine the winner. Taoist priest Huiyu seized the opportunity and took action suddenly. The pure jade whisk in his hand swung, unleashing a sharp edge and striking out like a storm. Dozens of them. Chen Qingyun, who was at the front, launched a more domineering attack. He used the 1000-star demon-slaying sword. The blade of the sword passed through the void, condensing a golden sword light and slashing out diagonally. In an instant, the golden light of heaven and earth shone brightly, attracting the attention of Lingxi and the other 5 people. The 4 attacks were launched one after another from different directions, all locked on the head of the death sandworm, and their power reached its peak. Everyone knows that if they don't seize this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to attack, will they have to wait for the other party to hide their figure again? Obviously impossible. Under 4 rapid attacks. This death sandworm had just broken free from the shackles of the ice. It sensed several attacks coming and tried to dodge, but it was already too late. The next second, only a rumbling sound was heard. 4 attacks hit its body firmly. The explosion of Tanlzi, the cutting edge of the fly whisk, the raging flames, and the brilliant sword light slashing diagonally. No matter how strong the death sandworm's defense is, it will never reach the purple mansion stage. The head was cut into 2 pieces by the sword in an instant, and then was submerged in flames and explosions, and strangled with sharp edges. The violent force swept across, and everyone felt that the violent air wave was sweeping in. That was the remaining power of Tanlzi and the blazing heat of the flames. Then look at the gorgeous sword light that still retains its power, slashing hard into the sand, opening a huge ravine. A large amount of sand and dust flew up, and the ground shook violently. When the remaining power settled, the roar of the fall was heard, and the dust in the sky lost control and gradually stopped. Everyone focused their eyes and saw a huge body lying across the sand. A death sandworm that was up to 100 feet in size. Under the joint attack of 6 people, the upper body of the death sandworm had long since disappeared, shattered into flesh and blood and scattered on the ground. The broken area was bloody, with green blood still coming out. It was lifeless and had been forcefully decapitated. Seeing that the death sandworm, which had been able to control the wind and rain before, was now being bombarded to such an extent that it didn't even have a chance to resist. They are all a bunch of ruthless people. Zhuxiantu took a breath of cold air and secretly glanced at Chen Qingyun and the other 5, feeling extremely fearful. No matter which one of the 5 attacks a breath or 2 ago, he felt that he had no confidence that he could resist them head-on. If you conflict with them too early, the consequences will be even more tragic than this monster insect. Ignoring Zhuxiantu's gaze, Taoist Master Huiyu took the lead and landed next to the corpse of the death sandworm. He rolled out the exposed demon pill and held it in the air. He looked at Chen Qingyun and the others with a smile, as if he wanted to ask, "Don't want." Lingxi was the first to shake his head, looking down on that one first, and the same was true for this one. Seeing this, Chen Qingyun and the 4 others shook their heads in response, but none of them had any intention of accepting it. Everyone thought that Taoist Master Huiyu also looked down upon him, but the other party's behavior was beyond everyone's expectations. Follow-up exploration. This thing may be useful. Taoist priest Huiyu seemed to be smiling, and directly put the demon pill into his sleeves. This move made Chen Qingyun look condensed. I couldn't help but recall that the demon elixir disappeared without any reason, and no one picked it up openly. Could it be that Taoist Huiyu also took it away? But before Chen Qingyun could think about it carefully, not far behind, there was the sound of surging sand and soil, which attracted the attention of several people. "It's the sandworm swarm that's chasing us." Zhuxiantu's expression changed slightly. He quickly did not dare to get close to the ground, and flew into the air with his flying sword. Qingguang just looked back and ignored everyone as he drank a qi and blood pill to restore his mana. Directly command the Xingzu to act alone and fly towards the distance. A cold light flashed in Sun Tai's eyes, staring at Qingguang's retreating figure, and then pursued him without stopping. As Qingguang and Sun Tai quickly separated from the team, The team that had briefly joined forces now lost its cohesion when faced with the pursuit of the sandworm swarm. Immediately, they dispersed into 6 forces, each acting as an enemy and relying on no one. Seeing this, Chen Qingyun and the 4 others adjusted their states and followed closely behind. After flying like this for dozens of breaths, everyone left the sandworm swarm far away and arrived at the edge of the desert. When they arrived here, everyone was still wondering why there was a desert in the cave. At this time, after seeing the scene in front of me, I realized why this desert came here. Chapter 208, Refining the Divine Flower. As soon as you see it, there are clusters of plants taking root and growing in the cracks of the rocks. The shortest one is as tall as a bucket. The tallest ones are close to adults. At this first glance, everyone did not recognize the origin of these flowers and plants. After passing them for a while, they looked down and saw a huge fire landform in the distance. A large amount of magma gathered into a sea, churning with hot bubbles, gurgling and boiling. Compared to the previous desert, the temperature here has become hotter. Heat waves billowed in the air, extremely hot. Even the foundation building monks are not used to the high temperature of the flames here, as if they are in a furnace. It is unbearably hot. It is not difficult to guess that under such high temperatures, as time goes by, the surrounding landforms will not be suitable for vegetation growth. Over time, it naturally evolved into a desert. After exploring the terrain here, the few people were not in a hurry, but looked back, attracted by the vegetation in front of them. Survive in the fiery land and between rocks. It is characterized by yellow flower bones, and its branches and leaves are barbed and green, like a cactus. The 6 people looked at it intently. Even though Linksai and others were well informed, they still did not recognize the origin of these plants, and they all showed doubts. Among the people present, only Chen Qingyun was different. After looking at it for a while, I first felt that the flower looked familiar. Then something came to mind. Then try to release your spiritual thoughts and touch the nearest flower. When the spiritual thoughts finally came into contact with the flowers, I felt waves of fluctuations coming from the spiritual thoughts, as if they were jumping for joy. This made Chen Qingyun more and more certain that his guess was correct. When he turned his attention to Sun Tai, he saw that the other person's eyes were half squinted, and there seemed to be joy on his face. Feeling the gaze, Sun Tai looked sideways at Chen Qingyun. Realizing that he seemed to recognize the origin of the flower, he showed a slight expression of admiration, and immediately started picking it without waiting for him. It is indeed true. Seeing Sun Tai's behavior, Chen Qingyun no longer had to doubt anything and determined the origin of the flower in front of him. Most of the spiritual herbs and elixirs in the world have the effect of assisting in spiritual practice or relieving poisons. The effects can be described as varied. Among them, there are many elixirs that can assist the refiner in his practice. Just now, when his spiritual thoughts came into contact with these flowers, he clearly felt that his spiritual thoughts were obviously touched. This feeling is like taking a qi refining pill by a monk in the qi refining stage, and you can feel the improving effect brought by the pill. Sun Tai came from Lingbao Mountain. As a weapon refiner, he has been refining magic weapons for many years, so his spiritual thoughts are naturally far more powerful than those of other monks of the same level. I must have discovered the unusualness of this flower. Seeing that the other party has already begun to pick them, looking at the seemingly unattractive flowers in front of them, it is obvious that they are the god refining flower. The refining flower is a second-level elixir that cannot be taken or refined into elixirs. It can only be refined like a magical weapon, using spiritual thoughts to refine it, and finally achieve the effect of improving spiritual thoughts. Hence the name Lian Shenhu. This is why he released his spiritual thoughts to investigate. After recognizing the origin of this flower, Chen Qingyun naturally stopped looking at it and started picking it quickly. There are more than 200 refining flowers here. Preliminary estimation is that after being evenly divided with Sun Tai, he can at least upgrade his spiritual consciousness to the Zaifu stage. When the time comes, you will be able to move beyond the level and wield the magic weapon. Thinking of this, Chen Qingyun couldn't help but feel ecstatic, and he moved a little faster, summoning the metal, wood, fire, earth, and the 5 puppets of the 5 elements to work together to pick. Seeing Chen Qingyun's behavior, Sun Tai was stunned for a moment, then quickly came to his senses, frowned and continued picking. Surrounded by Zhuo Xiangwen and others, they looked at each other in confusion, still unable to recognize the origin of the divine refining flower. But seeing Sun Tai and Chen Qingyun rushing like crazy. If you are not stupid, you will definitely know what this means. Friend Lu Dao, what is the origin of these flowers? Zhuo Xiangwen had been retorted by Sun Tai before, but Zhuo Xiangwen didn't want to talk to him, so he couldn't help but ask Chen Qingyun, looking like he was asking for advice. Chen Qingyun remained calm and ignored Zhuo Xiangwen's inquiry. Instead, he kept moving his hands and sped up. Well, Zhuo Xiangwen looked stunned and felt a little embarrassed. When he came to his senses, he no longer had any intention of asking. It would be better to pick it first and then talk about it. Just because he thinks this way doesn't mean others won't. Before he could take action, everyone present except Nangong Ming, who prided himself on being noble, looked down on such unknown flowers and did not bother to pick them for the sake of face. Ling Sai and Taoist Master Huiyu had already taken the lead and started picking. It must be something good. Seeing this situation, Zhuo Xiangwen couldn't stand still and quickly joined the picking team. Among the people present, only Nangong Ming did not move. I don't know if it was because he had this divine refining flower at home, or for other reasons. Chen Qingyun just glanced at it casually, without any intention of speaking. It couldn't be better to have one less person to divide things up. More than 200 god refining flowers were wiped out in just 10 breaths by the rapid movements of the 5 people. At this time, the 5 people looked around again and saw that Nangong Ming had already taken the lead to reach the distance. They immediately set off to continue exploring. Everyone was getting closer to the magma area and stepped on the rocky ground, only to feel that their feet began to become sticky. Looking down, you can see that the soles of the shoes have melted due to the high temperature, and they are sticky on the rock ground. When you lift them up, they are even stretched. Oh, my shoes! Ling Sai cried out in pain. Looking down, she saw that the soles of her shoes were also sticky. Her favorite shoes were scalded and sticky. While complaining, she fanned the wind with her hands, and once again used the ice attribute magic power to cast a wisp of ice air to wrap her body, so that she looked cooler. Taking off clothes here to cool down and remove heat will not have any effect at all. You can only rely on magic tools and spells to achieve it, which is better. Why, is it a piece of magma? Zhuo Xiangwen was the most talkative in the team. He was the first to step forward to investigate and looked at the magma. He found that the magma stretched in front of him, and the area was at least 100 miles. If you want to move forward, you must cross it. After experiencing the death of the sandworm, no one acted rashly and flew over the magma. Instead, they each launched their spiritual sense to explore, wanting to get a feel for the situation. But then, they were surprised to find that there was a force that blocked the spiritual sense. The released spiritual sense could not advance even a little bit, and was completely blocked, as if it had sunk into a black hole and disappeared. Unable to use the spiritual sense to explore the environment, they just wandered around and looked around for a while. Nangong Ming said nothing, took the initiative to distance himself from the others, took the lead in taking action, and controlled the flying star boat to soar into the sky, trying to cross this magma. It's really a newborn calf who is not afraid of a tiger. Seeing this, Chen Qingyun and the other 5 looked at each other. First, they held back and saw that Nangong Ming had flown a distance and did not encounter any crisis. Then, they decided not to delay anymore, and each of them took action, controlling the magic weapon to keep up with Nangong Ming's footsteps. Chapter 209, Fire Creature. Compared to desert areas, the temperature above magma is even hotter and unbearable. Even cultivators couldn't bear it for a long time. After a while, they broke out in hot sweat and their clothes started to get soaked. If it flies fast, the friction of the hot airflow under high-speed flight can even ignite the magic weapon and the body. And these are not problems yet. The strangest point emerged. Everyone soon discovered that in this void, about 10 feet away from the magma, there was an invisible restriction. This directly restricted their flying height and forced them to fly at low altitude. The 6 people were puzzled. and each cast a spell to cool down. The mana was constantly consumed, and they did not dare to fly too fast. They soon traveled about 1/3 of the distance of the magma. As they went deeper, they discovered that there were gradually creatures moving in the magma. This could not help but arouse the vigilance of several people. Before they could investigate carefully, they were about to speed up and fly over. At this time, in the hot and rolling magma, a large number of figures were surging and gathering, showing a color similar to the magma, which had a natural hidden advantage. Chen Qingyun and the other 6 people all discovered this, but they did not remind each other. They just kept their guard up. Hurrah! There was a violent rolling sound of magma, and several humanoid creatures suddenly emerged from the magma, like evil ghosts swooping down, and attacked Nangong Ming, who was flying at the front. Nangong Ming raised his eyebrows slightly. When the flying star boat was raised under the feet of the imperial envoy, he immediately launched a second-order flying sword, the 4-elephant sword. When activated, a powerful sword power exploded, and it slashed down diagonally. 4 heads rushed out of the magma, and the flaming creatures that flew forward did not choose to dodge when faced with the flying sword slashes, and were all split open in one fell swoop. Not far away, Chen Qingyun and the other 5 saw this situation. They quickly looked at the flaming creatures and quickly searched their memories, but they did not recognize the origins of these creatures. What is this? Zhuxiantu slowed down and squinted his eyes. Chen Qingyun and the other 4 did not speak. They just paused for a moment and then continued to prepare to move on, ignoring Nangong Ming. But the number of fire creatures in the lava was beyond their expectations. After Nangong Ming finished dealing with the 4 opponents, he saw more flame creatures surrounding him. In just a few short breaths, the number reached at least hundreds. Oops, not good. Link's eyes! Exclamation sounded. At this time, he looked around. Not to mention the front, there were a large number of flaming creatures gathering on the left and right sides, and even behind him. She, along with Chen Qingyun and the other 5, were surrounded and became the turtle in the urn. Faced with this situation, several people's thoughts turned rapidly, and a tacit understanding emerged once again, and they quickly gathered together and concentrated their efforts. Because whether it is Chen Qingyun, Sun Tai or Taoist Huayu, they all clearly saw that a large number of fire creatures were emerging in the direction of the road ahead. Looking around, this is even more true. Encountering such a situation, no matter whether you are moving forward or retreating, you will be attacked by a large number of opponents. Before understanding the origin and strength of these creatures, no one wants to act rashly, so it is better to concentrate on dealing with them. Going it alone is not a wise move. Do you know what these are? As the whistling sound sounded, Nangong Ming's expression changed slightly and he asked. He saw that the 4 flaming creatures that had been cut open did not die, and the wounds were healing rapidly and recondensed into their complete form. He suddenly felt that something was not good, and they gathered towards Chen Qingyun and the other 5. I still want to ask you. Link's Eye took the lead in shaking his head, stepping on the Jiu Ning Zhuan Shui mirror, launching his flying ability, holding the Ice Soul Cold Light Thorn in his hand, and hovering next to Chen Qingyun. While keeping track of the actions of the people around her to prevent a sneak attack, she frowned slightly as she looked at the large number of flaming creatures gathering in the magma. After her, Taoist priest Huayu and others either shook their heads or remained silent, but none of them recognized her. Chen Qingyun took out the void-slaying flying knife and the 5 elements, and stood on the empty boat. The light in his eyes surged, and he suddenly struck forward. The void-destroying flying knife was infused with mana, emitting a bright light, and was slashed out in an instant, with a whistling sound piercing the air. The 5 elements are like real monks, forming seals with their hands and performing the Ice Thorn technique. Using water attribute spells to restrain these flaming creatures, dozens of ice spikes the size of flying swords condensed in the sky above their heads, shining with bursts of cold light. Let's take action too. Seeing that Chen Qingyun was taking the lead without saying a word and wanting to use force to solve the predicament at hand, Taoist Master Huayu shouted in a low voice and urged the pure jade whisk in his hand to take action together. In the current crisis, Linksai and others could not care less about working on their own. At present, it is estimated that joint action can quickly resolve the current crisis and strive for greater hope. So, the 6 people gathered together. 6 completely different forces erupted almost at the same time, forming a hexagonal formation in a circle, each targeting different directions and launching an all-out attack. In an instant, there was the sharp edge of the whisk, the cold iced thorn, the light of the virtual sword, the golden wheel piercing the sky, the silver sword energy, the cold long thorn, and the red flying sword. 6 people and 1 puppet, 7 types of attacks broke out, launching a fierce attack on the surrounding area of 100 feet. The rolling foundation building mana surged, roared, and crackled. Centered on the 6 people, all the flame creatures within a radius of 100 feet were strangled. But before they could catch their breath and move, more fire creatures swept in, like locusts covering the sky and the earth, densely packed. All 6 people looked solemn, and each of them used a unique trick. Even Nangong Ming, who was always arrogant and conceited, did not have any idea of disdain to fight together at this time. Instead, out of a strong desire to survive, he joined forces with Chen Qingyun and the other 5. They were enemies, and the idea of eliminating each other was temporarily forgotten. Under this fierce attack of the joint forces. In just a moment, the number of fire creatures they killed exceeded 500. But everyone's expression became more and more tense, and they did not show any complacency or relaxation. Because at this time, the fire creatures that gathered were still endless, as if they could not be killed. There were opponents all around, and the way out of each party was blocked. The only way to survive was to concentrate their strength and fight a bloody way out. After fighting for dozens of rounds, when everyone's mana was consumed by 30% to 40%, Chen Qingyun gradually realized that something seemed wrong. Very wrong. Such a large tribe, living in this magma, how much food would it take to maintain reproduction? Moreover, after he killed nearly 100 flame creatures in a row, he still did not feel the obvious breath of life on the other party. The other party seemed to be a non-living creature, belonging to some kind of combat method controlled and directed by someone. It was like the 5 elements puppets beside him, but there were too many of them. Chen Qingyun frowned and gradually moved closer to the 5 people around him. Such crazy attacks also consumed a lot of mana. In the long run, even if there was the divine Sea Kinglian platform as a reserve of mana, it would not be able to withstand such consumption. It would definitely die here and fall into the magma, leaving no bones. There is a problem here. Sensing the abnormality around him, Chen Qingyun's expression became more and more solemn. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 210, Clues Revealed. No, why are there so many? I can't even kill them all. Linksai also discovered the problem. There was no trace of laughter on his face, and he was full of solemnity. While she was using the Ice Soul mysterious water mirror to support her body in flying, she was also activating the 9 condensation cold light thorns to kill the gathering flame creatures. In such a short time, the number of fire creatures she killed had reached 100, and her mana consumption exceeded 30%. Hearing Linksai's complaints, and more of the roar of the attack, Tuayu Taoist priest and others were busy fighting against the enemy, even fighting for time to breathe. There is no time to think about the reason. Thanks to the joint efforts, there have been no casualties so far. Even Zhuo Ziangwen, who seemed to be the weakest and at the bottom, had killed more than 70 flame creatures. The flame creatures surging around them were all quickly killed before they came within 10 meters of the 6 people. This made the 6 of them happy, but they were not happy at all. Instead, they felt more and more surprised. As a living being, anyone with any brains should have developed fear long ago when they were killed in such an overwhelming manner. Even if you don't retreat, you should stop, grin, and look at him eagerly. You won't be so mechanical, so vast, and burying your head in death like a tide. What is the difference between this act of committing suicide and a puppet that can only execute orders and be controlled by others? But here's the weird thing. The death sandworms encountered previously also knew how to change their attack methods, launching sneak attacks from underground, pursuing them, or launching sandstorms. These things are so lingering, blocking their way, and they are not very strong. They are all at the first level and cannot reach the level of the foundation building stage. What is the origin? Chen Qingyun's doubts became even stronger. But he couldn't think too much, so he had to guard his position and kill the endless fire creatures in the magma one by one. After the battle until now, the 6 people had spent more than 30% of their mana on using magic weapons, cooling down spells, and resisting the surrounding attacks. If you spend another half an hour like this, your own mana will definitely be exhausted. Everyone knows that the Ents kill the elephant. Whoosh. The Zhuxiantu flying knife slashed out across the air, like cutting leaks, killing more than a dozen flame creatures in a row. Chen Qingyun recalled the magic weapon and changed it to the 5 elements. With a flip of his hand, he summoned Lu, which turned into a stream of flame and plunged into the magma. With this seemingly simple action, the 5 Lynx Eye people around them were busy fighting and had no time to pay attention to Chen Qingyun's actions. After Lu entered the magma and continued to move dozens of feet, a strange scene appeared. Lu is so upright, walking through the magma. The surrounding flame creatures seemed to turn a blind eye and directly ignored the existence of Lu. Sure enough, there is a problem. Discovering such anomalies, in order to verify his suspicion, Chen Qingyun simply used Lu to attack the 2 surrounding flame creatures. With the use of magic power in the foundation building stage, it turned into a spear and penetrated the 2 flame creatures one after another. Immediately afterwards, Lu took a stand and paid attention to the surrounding situation. A strange scene occurred. Even if these flame creatures passed by Lu, they always seemed not to see them and ignored them without stopping for a moment. I tried a few more times and killed 3 more flame creatures, but the result was still the same. Could it be? Seeing this situation, Chen Qingyun suddenly woke up, glanced around, and immediately took out the purple spirit robe and covered himself. The effect of the purple spirit robe is activated, extinguishing all aura, and the body shape is thus covered and hidden. Chen Qingyun took the initiative to leave the team and flew straight out. Madness. Seeing that Chen Qingyun no longer gathered together and flew out on his own, seemingly trying to force his way out, Nangong Ming's expression condensed and he couldn't help but curse. Then, when he saw that Chen Qingyun's figure was no longer visible on the empty boat, it was obvious that he had used invisibility spells to hide his figure, and Nangong Ming couldn't help but sneered. Hidden one's ears and steal the bell. At the same time, someone flew away from the team. Taoist Master Huyu and the other 5 people noticed it immediately, and their eyes towards Chen Qingyun became flickering. After all, someone couldn't sit still. However, even if the figure is hidden. But the magic weapon fluctuates and the aura still exists, how can it be hidden from the eyes of these flaming creatures? What is the difference between this and committing suicide? When the 5 people took a quick look, they had no intention of reminding Chen Qingyun and stopping him from doing so. Nangong Ming even gloated a little, wishing that Chen Qingyun would die here. However, it will be a pity for that jade fruit when the time comes. Huchichi. The imperial emissary used the flying boat to hide his life breath with his purple spirit robe, and after assisting Lu to board the flying boat, Chen Qingyun flew majestically over the magma. After flying a distance of more than 10 feet, the massive flaming creatures beneath him were just like Lu before, and they seemed not to see Chen Qingyun or even phase. Let Chen Qingyun fly 50 feet, 100 feet away. Then it flew another 300 feet, flying safely through the air and quickly disappearing from everyone's sight. The imagined scene of being besieged by the flaming creatures did not appear, and he flew far away so smoothly that he didn't even need to take action to resist the attack. For a moment, the 5 Taoist priests who were stunned and stiffened. Obviously, they did not expect such a result. It was inexplicable. What was going on? Why did these things not attack the lone Lu Yuan, but insisted on attacking them? What went wrong? Are they blind? They can't recognize such a trick? This thought emerged in the minds of the 5 people at the same time. At this moment, seeing that Chen Qingyun had set a precedent and could get away with it like this, the idea of joining forces to fight against him was instantly thrown out of the sky. They followed suit and performed invisibility and other magic to conceal their bodies. Chen Qingyun could go like this, so why couldn't they go? With this idea in mind, in addition to the limited magic skills that Zhuxiantu had learned, he could only barely perform a covering technique to cover his body, and the flying magic weapon could not be blocked. The other 4 Linksai people, because they all rely on one side, have practiced many magics. Not only did they hide their bodies, but they also covered the flying magic tools under their feet. Just like that, the 5 figures scattered like birds and beasts, and they no longer had the previous unity. No one wanted to help each other, and they took action separately. But after flying more than 10 feet away, the 5 people's faces changed drastically, and they found that things were not as simple as they imagined. What's going on? Zhuxiantu was soon besieged by many fire creatures, blocking his way, and he couldn't help but exclaim, "This is not right. Why is this different from the situation of Luyuan?" Chapter 211 Dry Ice and Fire. There was no time to figure out the reason. When Zhuxiantu's expression changed drastically, he had to rush and urge the magic weapon to attack. At the same time, he took out several defensive talismans and unfolded them, strengthening himself and stacking armor frantically. Noticing Zhuxiantu's panic, Nangong Ming and the other 4 did not laugh at him, because their own situation was not much better. The situation at this time really confirmed Nangong Ming's previous 2 words, stupid and covering one's ears and stealing the bell. Previously, it was used to mock Chen Qingyun, but now it was fulfilled on himself. Nangong Ming's face flushed and he was extremely ashamed and angry. Like Zhuxiantu, the 4 people were besieged by a large number of fire creatures. After flying a distance of more than 10 feet, they had to stop for a moment and had no time to spare. Even if they were running fast, there were countless fire creatures waiting in the magma ahead, or surging in an endless stream. Damn it, something is wrong, something must be wrong. What did he do? Nangong Ming roared angrily, urging a black ice crystal sword talisman. This talisman reached the 2nd level middle grade, containing the power of ice attribute, and has the effect of restraining fire attribute creatures. After triggering, as he held the talisman, a series of black ice crystal swords burst out. The extremely cold temperature released by the talisman itself, after contacting the surrounding hot breath, made a hissing sound and rose up with a burst of mist. The black ice air and the ice crystal sword poured down like a waterfall, killing the flame creatures that rushed out of the magma and flew towards him. In just a few breaths, Nangong Ming turned around with this killing talisman. All the flame creatures within 50 feet around him were killed, and none survived. But even so, he couldn't show his joy. Because there were still endless flame creatures sweeping around. Looking at Taoist Tuayu again, he was no longer fighting with a whisk alone. A black banner appeared in his hand. When he shook his sleeves, the black banner spread out with a rustling sound, and a large amount of black wind swept out, filled with a powerful tearing force, tearing all the fire creatures that rushed over into pieces. The appearance of this black banner, compared with the kind appearance and identity of Taoist Tuayu, seemed so abrupt and out of place. This magic weapon was emitting gusts of cold wind, and it seemed to contain evil spirits. It didn't look like a righteous magic weapon at all. However, under the current situation, Linksai and the others didn't care whether Taoist Tuayu was righteous or evil. It was important to save their own lives first, so they didn't have the energy to worry about others. For a moment, Linksai and Sun Tai had to use their best means to resolve the crisis and catch up with Chen Qingyun. On the other side, Chen Qingyun had no intention to care about Nangong Ming and the others. After noticing that they were surrounded and killed, he finally verified his thoughts. These flame creatures are particularly sensitive to the life breath of creatures. In other words, as long as the life breath on the body is not covered, they will be besieged endlessly. The magic of the purple spirit robe was fully utilized here. As for whether someone is secretly controlling these flame creatures, Flying forwards for a distance and investigating will know the answer. This flame magma area is a bit strange, and it doesn't look like a natural product. Chen Qingyun continued to move forward quickly, leaving Nangong Ming and the other 5 far behind. Soon, he was the first to cross the magma area and came to a land. Jumping off the flying boat and landing on the ground, the real feeling of stepping on the ground made Chen Qingyun feel satisfied. The temperature here has changed abnormally. It is no longer hot and unbearable, making people sweat constantly. Instead, it is cool and cool, as if entering a cold night. It seems that there is something unusual that has changed the temperature here. A quick glance at the eyes. What comes into view is the simple and open interior of the cave. It seems that we have arrived at the living and cultivation area of the cave owner. Looking back at the rolling magma and the blazing fire area behind, Chen Qingyun couldn't help but guess that the magma fire area, like the vast desert, is a test of some kind. Just like when you want to join a sect, you need to pass the gravity ladder in front of the sect, the illusion bewitching and other tests to test the heart of the cultivator. The purpose here is obviously to test the strength. If you don't reach the foundation building stage, you can't even get out of the desert, let alone this magma fire area. I have already experienced 2 tests, would there be a third one? Feeling the coolness and silence around him, Chen Qingyun continued to maintain the operation of the purple spirit robe to cover his figure and breath. He expanded his spiritual sense and tried to explore the surroundings. He found that there was also a mysterious force here, which was extremely domineering to isolate and shield his spiritual sense, and he could not detect it at all. Seeing this, and thinking that the 5 people of Taoist Huayu were still behind him, they would catch up at any time, so he could not delay. When his palm turned, 4 chi refining puppets of the gold, wood, earth, and fire elements appeared. The 4 puppets jumped in unison and appeared to be the size of a person after landing. Under control, they each walked in various directions ahead and began to conduct on-site reconnaissance. The spiritual sense was invalidated here, so he used the simplest and most intuitive 5-element puppet to explore the map. For safety reasons, the 5 elements and 6 combinations appeared one after another, each following Chen Qingyun in front and behind, and went straight forward together. 4 puppets, plus the original, equal to 5 cultivators exploring at the same time. After a while, Chen Qingyun made a discovery. This ruin, or what we call an ancient cave, consists of 4 major areas: the alchemy room, the weapon refining room, the retreat room, and the central cave. In terms of scale, although it occupies a large area, the decoration is quite simple. It is not like today's high-level cultivators who like to build various pavilions, treasure houses, book collection pavilions, array platforms, practice squares, etc. In short, the cave will be built to be dazzling, extremely luxurious, and magnificent, with all kinds of buildings. It is not a problem to invite hundreds of friends to live here. It is different here. This is also the reason why Chen Qingyun sent out 4 puppets to explore the way. The area here is too large. Before the exploration is completed and the treasures are collected, Nangong Ming and his 5 people may follow. At that time, the 6 people will act separately and escape to various places. It is impossible to use spiritual consciousness to explore and monitor each other's actions here. What treasures did the few people obtain, or even hide them somewhere, playing hide and seek and sneak attacks? That would be fun. The 4 puppets explored separately, and after just a moment, the terrain layout here was clear in mind. Chen Qingyun took the lead and flew straight to the main cave, which was the retreat room of the cave owner. Passing through the corridor bridge, the path, and the flower garden. Chen Qingyun entered a building that looked like a hall, which was filled with common items such as cloud beds, stone tables and chairs, and futons. In addition, it was still mainly simple in style, and there was no luxury at all. It seemed that one person lived here all year round. Chen Qingyun was not very interested in the environment here. He continued to move forward and saw a half-open stone door at the end of the cave. Waves of cold air floated out from inside, making the surrounding temperature cold, as if in a snowy ice field. Behind this stone door was the retreat room. Chen Qingyun walked in without hesitation, and the cold air rushed in his face, accompanied by a burst of brilliant ice blue light. In the surrounding area, there were also blue crystal objects with a glittering luster, a human-shaped ice sculpture. Chen Qingyun looked carefully, first looking at the body of the light source. It was a ball of ice blue flame, emitting bursts of cold air, and an extremely cold spiritual fire that could freeze people into ice sculptures at any time. Looking at the ice blue flame in front of him from a distance of several meters, Chen Qingyun's face quickly showed joy, and a name quickly emerged in his mind. Ganyu, Ice Fire. Chapter 212 Ice Fire Silver Crystal. Now. The flame that was burning slowly before Chen Qingyun's eyes, exuding an icy coldness, was the Ganyu Ice Fire recorded in the Xinghai Strange Object Chronicle. From the name of this fire, you can see the flame attribute. Not only is it different from other spiritual fires, which are extremely hot and have extremely high temperatures, but it is also famous for being extremely cold and freezing. According to the records of Xinghai Strange Objects, Ganyu ice and fire is extremely rare and almost only existed before the great destruction of the ancients. It is an extremely cold fire born in the deep sea veins. It is not afraid of sea water, and can freeze living creatures and magic weapons even when it is extremely cold. Even if it is a golden elixir monk, it will be difficult to break free from the ice once it is contaminated by this fire. If combined with other spiritual fires for high temperature roasting, one is cold and one is hot. Even the top magic weapon cannot withstand it, and it will lose its aura and fall apart. Extreme cold and heat are two extreme temperatures that act on an object at the same time. What object in this world can resist it? Let alone a monk's body. How could it withstand the simultaneous attack of such ice and fire power? Therefore, when seeing this dry ice fire, Chen Qingyun thought of the Qingyun earth core fire he controlled. Once you master this fire, and use it with the Qingyun earth core fire, it is possible to kill even a Xifu stage monk in a head-on decisive battle. It's hard to conceal my inner excitement. As Chen Qingyun approached step by step, he felt the extremely cold air rushing towards his face, as if facing a piece of 10,000-year-old ice. It was unbearably cold. In just 1 or 2 breaths, a layer of snow-white frost condensed on his hair, eyebrows, and even his clothes, which were crystal clear. Just being so close, there is such a cold air coming, making people feel like falling into an ice cave, and feeling bone-chilling cold. If it comes into contact, wouldn't it be directly frozen into an ice sculpture? According to the records of Xinghai Strange Objects, if you want to refine Ganyu ice and fire, it is best to master a kind of other extremely powerful spiritual fire before doing so. Then, use this extremely powerful spiritual fire as the basis to adjust the body temperature to reach a balance point and resist the extreme cold effect of the dry ice fire. Chen Qingyun murmured in his heart, mobilizing the Qingyun earth core fire in his body, slowly warming himself, increasing his temperature, and dispelling the coldness on his body. This effect is very significant. Without the assistance of Qingyun's earth core fire, the Foundation establishment monk would be unable to do anything just by relying on brute force. Approaching Ganyu Bingyu, Chen Qingyun's eyes were burning, and he could no longer hold back the thought of subduing him. But time is running out right now, and it will definitely take a lot of time to conquer it. And it's definitely not now. Mo Ling, come out. As his thoughts raced, Chen Qingyun was about to call Mo Ling out of the blessed land bead. After the little guy flew out, he felt the coldness around him. He just squeaked a few times and asked where he was, but he was almost frozen to the point of freezing. Don't be nervous, I'm just changing your place to stay. The next moment, it was quickly transferred into the spirit beast bag by Chen Qingyun. The storage space is freed up to prevent Mo Ling from being hurt by Ganyu Bingyu. At this time, while keeping himself warm, he slowly cast his magic power towards the source of the cold. With a breath, Foodie Pearl showed its storage ability and sucked in the entire Ganyu Bingyu in one fell swoop. As the book of extremely cold spiritual fire was taken away, the light in the retreat room became a little darker. The temperature doesn't seem to be as cold as before. When Chen Qingyun was excited, he took a deep breath, and then began to carefully look at the surrounding scene. What is visible to the naked eye, first of all, are the blue crystal objects surrounded. With just a glance, Chen Qingyun recognized the origin of these things. Ice and fire silver crystal. This thing is a third-level spiritual mine, and it can only be born where Qianyu ice and fire is. A piece the size of a thumb needs to be nurtured for at least 100 years. There are more than 30 ice and fire silver crystals around. The smallest ones are about the size of a fingernail. The largest one has reached the size of a fist. It can be preliminarily judged from the size that these ice and fire silver crystals have been gestated for at least 1,000 years. This thing is a high-quality material for making magic weapons. The price of one piece is about the size of a thumb, and it requires 3,000 spiritual stones to start. Right now, the total value of these ice and fire silver crystals exceeds 200,000 spirit stones. It's posted. Even though he tried his best to stay calm, Chen Qingyun was excited at this time, and his eyes reflected an icy blue light. What a waste of time to wait. He quickly unfolded the storage bag and collected it frantically, not wanting to leave even a single ice and fire silver crystal behind. After collecting them all, he finally set his sights on the ice sculpture. Taking a closer look, the ice sculpture takes the form of a human, sitting cross-legged on a futon. It can be clearly seen that there is an image of a middle-aged man with a heroic appearance and a stern face. The man had his eyes closed tightly, his face was calm and peaceful, and his clothes were quite elegant and noble. From the first impression the other party made, one knew that his origin was not simple. After all, he was an elder of a sect or a local strong man. From the cross-legged position of the other party, look at the now tightly frozen appearance. Chen Qingyun subconsciously stepped back and looked at him with slightly focused eyes. Dead or alive? This is a problem. The other party is most likely the owner of this cave. Regardless of status and strength, it is probably not something that a monk from my small family can match. Just when Chen Qingyun was hesitant and hesitated whether to retreat, a jade slip beside the man caught his attention. Jade slips in the world come in various shapes and are mostly used to record skills, knowledge, theories, classics and deeds, etc. The similarity is that they are all made of white jade cold stone. It has an extremely long service life and can often store information for thousands of years. This is also the reason why jade slips can be widely circulated in the world of immortal cultivation. The ancient cultivator who invented the jade slip can be called a genius and made a great contribution to the world of immortal cultivation. Otherwise, the current cultivators are probably still using the most primitive recording method, engraving the text on the stone. In this way, the effect of long-term memory can be achieved. If it was just an ordinary jade slip, it would naturally not attract Chen Qingyun to look at it many times. Because of the dry and dark ice and fire, all objects close to it were frozen into ice sculptures, like crystal clear works of art. But this jade slip is different. Not only is it not frozen, but it also retains its spiritual charm. The cultivator could tell at a glance that this item was still usable. This was very unusual, and it must not be an ordinary jade slip. Picking up the jade slip, it felt cold. A preliminary look showed that it was made of white jade cold stone with some cold-resistant materials, and it was much lighter than ordinary jade slips. After expanding his divine sense and exploring it, Chen Qingyun's expression quickly became solemn. The jade slip contained only more than 300 words, which was a will that told the life story of the owner of the cave house, that is, the cultivator who was frozen in ice. Chapter 213 Great Wilderness Devouring Demon Skill. The owner of this cave is named Lin Kangong. He was an elder from the Zhuxiantu sect more than 1,500 years ago. He was proficient in weapon refining and had reached the level of a 4th-level weapon refiner. He could refine natal magic weapons for Golden Core stage monks and was famous at the time. When Zhuxiantu sect, Piomio Immortal Palace, Shengxiao sect and other major sects in the sea area in the past jointly merged into the 10,000 Stars Alliance and established the Star Sect. Because Lin Kangong and many Zhuxiantu sect monks had different ideas, the Zhuxiantu sect was seen to have ceased to exist in name only and was being cannibalized and disintegrated. He simply left the sect resolutely and established his own branch. Some people established a cultivating family, reproduced their descendants, and developed family power. Some, like Lin Kangong, have become casual practitioners, no longer bound by any restrictions, and can come and go freely and carefree. After breaking away from the control of the sect, Lin Qingyun painstakingly studied the art of weapon refining, and relied on his exquisite weapon refining skills to get along like a fish in water, and made many friends. In the past few decades, not only has he accumulated millions of wealth, his cultivation level has even reached the peak of Zaifu, and he is ready to prepare for forming pills. During this period, the opportunities he encountered were equally remarkable. Among them, the biggest opportunity was when collecting weapon refining materials on the seabed in the outer Star Sea, in a deep-sea ravine. The existence of this dry ice and fire was discovered. After painstaking research, and finally a few months later, Qingguang was subdued with great courage. Since then, his cultivation career has become smoother and smoother, and his weapon refining skills have improved again. But there are always exceptions to everything. There are always moments when you hit a wall, and it's impossible to advance all the way. During a battle with several Zaifu monsters, he happened to encounter a golden core cultivator watching. The secret of possessing Qingguang was accidentally exposed, which attracted the pursuit of the golden elixir monk. The Zaifu monk versus the Jinan monk is not a match of magnitude at all. Even though Lin Qingyun possesses many top-notch magic weapons and possesses several low-level methods, he still ends up with more than half of his magic weapons being broken, and he is seriously injured and runs away. After this battle, although his life was saved, however, due to the severe damage to his Dao body and excessive consumption of essence and blood, his strength plummeted. After escaping back to this cave, he was already dying. Knowing that medicine and stone are difficult to cure and destined to perish, Lin Qingyun felt regretful and lamented that things in the world are impermanent. It was precisely because he had no disciples and no descendants that he had long been accustomed to being idle and free, and until his death there was no one to pass on the mantle. Therefore, in order to pass on his knowledge of weapon refining, he specially created the Green Brilliance Mirror to guide outside monks to come to explore for treasures and select successors. This dry ice and fire is a legacy left by this person. Before dying, he deliberately released this spiritual fire and sealed himself with ice. As long as the Qingguang ice and fire did not go out, his body would remain intact. What is worth mentioning is that just as Chen Qingyun thought, the vast desert and the magma fire field were indeed set up for testing, and were created by this person. Breed dead sandworms and use their teeth to make weapons. Then, using the method of nourishing the souls, a large number of flame creatures were multiplied, formations were set up to activate them, and no-fly zones were set up. Finally, the God-obscuring stone was arranged to set up a forbidden method to block the divine consciousness. All of this is the brainchild of Lin Qingyun, who has planned ahead and created it in advance. Seeing this, Chen Qingyun finally realized, and all the doubts in his heart were solved. The medicine garden at the outermost edge of the cave, and even the yukiang fruit trees, were nothing more than a small profit. The outside monks will not be allowed to come here in vain, which can be regarded as a little sweetness. When you encounter death sandworms and fire creatures later, how you deal with them depends on your own strength and methods. Either force your way in, or retreat. The role played by the Green Brilliance Mirror here is not just as simple as opening the cave and guiding them. Because this object was contaminated with a wisp of Lin Qingyun's essence and blood by special means during the refining process, it inherited his obsession. It can be called a magic weapon with spiritual intelligence. After the birth of the Green Brilliance Mirror, Lin Qingyun died soon after, and his soul returned to heaven and earth. Because the Green Brilliance Mirror was born with spiritual intelligence, it was still confused at first and has been sleeping for more than 1,500 years. Until he officially awakened 5 years ago, it contained Lin Qingyun's obsession to pass on his skills in weapon refining. Then it flew out of the cave, and the soldiers were broken into 6 pieces for the monks to obtain and come to search for treasures. Unexpectedly, Chen Qingyun, the monk attracted this time, was the first to arrive here smoothly. In the dark, there seems to be God's will. This green brilliant mirror has existed for so long and still maintains its power. You can divert the tide and lead them forward. It is enough to prove that Lin Qingyun's weapon refining skills are by no means easy. green, brilliant mirror. Thinking of this magical weapon, Chen Qingyun reviewed his memory and found that since entering the desert area, this mirror disappeared without a trace and its whereabouts were unknown. The obsession contained in this mirror, after being nurtured for a long time, is likely to give birth to spiritual wisdom, allowing Lin Qingguang to be reborn in an alternative way. This is unusual. This mirror, I don't know where it has gone at this time. I didn't see it while walking all the way before. Back to business. If the magic weapon that led them into this place was like this, then how powerful must the magic weapon collected in the opponent's storage bag be? Chen Qingyun's eyes sparkled. Being able to come here obviously means that he has passed the test. Then the inheritance left by Lin Qingguang can be obtained by himself. Senior, this junior will accept the inheritance you left behind. Chen Qingyun bowed respectfully to Lin Qingguang, and then used the flying sword to cut, accurately breaking the ice on the other party's waist and taking off the storage bag. It must be said that Lin Qingguang's mind is delicate. Before he passed away, he deliberately wiped the divine thoughts on the storage bag to make it easier for people in the future to open the storage bag. In the bag, there are dozens of classics. Flipping through them casually, they are all ancient books and notes on refining. For example, the complete collection of second-level refining techniques, the explanation of the refining Tao of the Zhuangqi sect, Qingguang notes, etc. These refining classics, just a rough glance at them, made Chen Qingyun's eyes light up. The Chen family now has 3 refiners, and the one with the highest attainments is Chen Daoran, who has reached the first level top level. But because the family's foundation is not great, the subsequent practice of refining the way of refining has to rely entirely on oneself. The fastest and safest way is to spend a lot of money to buy second-level refining classics from the outside world. This would easily require more than 100,000 spiritual stones. And now, with these weapon refining inheritances, not only a large number of spiritual stones are saved, but also the 4th level middle grade level is included. In other words, the Chen family has the foundation to cultivate a 4th level middle grade weapon refiner. In terms of value, this has exceeded 1 million spiritual stones. He was extremely excited and continued to investigate. There were a total of 9 magic weapons that he was particularly concerned about. Among them, 5 reached the level of magic treasures, and 3 were second level top grade magic weapons. In addition, there was 1 life magic weapon, which was used exclusively by giant and cultivators. I think it was a commission for refining from a certain giant and cultivator. After the life magic weapon was refined, it was killed by someone before it was traded and died prematurely. This is also a pity. Chen Qingyun sighed in his heart, and then a black ancient scroll caught his attention, which recorded 2 cultivation techniques. The Great Wilderness Devouring Demon Art, the 9 Heavens Devouring Spirit Art. Chapter 214, Method of Forming the Pill. The Black Ancient Scroll records 2 very special golden elixir techniques. It can be said that one is good and the other is evil, 2 extremes. To practice the Great Wilderness Devouring Demon technique, one needs to constantly devour the flesh and blood of demon beasts, demon pills, etc. to strengthen one's own blood and qi, so as to achieve the effect of filling the body and enhancing strength. As long as there are enough demon beasts as resources for practice and devouring, a qi refining cultivator can be piled up to the golden elixir stage. This kind of practice to the perfect state through this technique, and finally condense the golden elixir with the power of all demons. The physical strength of the cultivator is enough to rival the top ancient golden elixir monster. In the same realm, it can be said that it is difficult to meet an opponent and is feared by the demon clan. The other 9 Heavens Devouring Soul Art is a magic skill, an evil skill. Because unlike the Great Wilderness Devouring Demon technique, it needs to devour the human race as the basis for practice, which is extremely cruel. It is said that this method is a golden elixir magic skill that a demon cultivator accidentally obtained in an ancient demon forbidden land in ancient times. This demon cultivator was just a foundation building demon cultivator at first, but after devouring more than 300 human foundation building cultivators with this method, his strength improved by leaps and bounds, reaching the purple mansion stage, and gaining a great reputation. After that, This demon cultivator's cultivation was even more like a fish in water. He continued to fight everywhere, wantonly slaughtering immortal cultivation families and local sects to practice. Finally, after devouring 7,749 purple mansion cultivators and condensing the blood evil golden pill, he achieved the golden pill stage in one fell swoop and was given the fierce reputation of the bloodthirsty demon lord. But if you walk by the river often, you will get your shoes wet. Because the bloodthirsty demon lord caused too much killing and attracted countless enemies, he ultimately could not escape the fate of being eradicated by the human race's strong men. He was surrounded and killed by several righteous golden pill cultivators, and fought for 3 days and 3 nights, and was finally killed in the sea area. Since then, the 9 heavens devouring soul art disappeared with the fall of the bloodthirsty demon lord and disappeared in the vast sea. It is precisely because of the fierce reputation created by the bloodthirsty demon lord that the human race has deeply realized the cruelty and horror of the 9 heavens devouring soul art, and thus reached a unified consensus. Any cultivator, regardless of birth and origin, as long as he practices the 9 heavens devouring soul art, will be regarded as the public enemy of the human race. It must be strangled in the cradle early, and must not be allowed to grow and endanger the peace of the human race. This kind of magic skill that devours the human race to advance can already be called an inhumane killing method. Chen Qingyun frowned as he looked at it. Needing to cannibalize the same race to practice, what is the difference between this and demons? But in the eyes of demon cultivators, as long as they can quickly improve their strength, what does it matter if they devour their own race? Whether it is the great wilderness devouring demon art or the 9 heavens devouring soul art, the two methods of practice, which are on the opposite side, have their own unique features. One is to devour monsters and is feared by the monsters. The other devours the human race and is regarded as the public enemy of the human race. Chen Qingyun did not define the good and bad of this, it all depends on how he uses it correctly. But at least, this 9 heavens devouring soul art cannot be touched easily. Even if it is to devour demon cultivators, evil cultivators, demon cultivators, etc. to increase cultivation, Chen Qingyun is still unable to do this at present, and there is a resistance. The future path of cultivation is still very long. There is no need to fall into the devil's way because of greed for cultivation, be hated by the human race, and be regarded as a thorn in the eye and a thorn in the flesh, which will bring disaster to yourself. Therefore, Lin Qingyun left a reminder in this black ancient scroll not to practice 9 heavens devouring soul art easily. The reason why this technique was not destroyed and was willing to be passed down is that all the techniques in the world, regardless of the grade, have shortcomings. This technique is naturally no exception. In the future. If you encounter a cultivator who practices this magic technique in the world, you can see the flaws and shortcomings, and have a way to deal with and kill him. After roughly reading these two techniques, Li Qingyun practiced the Great Wilderness Swallowing Heaven technique, but unfortunately, after practicing the technique to the peak of the Purple Mansion, it died prematurely before it formed a pill, and was plotted against. While sighing, Chen Qingyun quickly withdrew his thoughts. He would not take a closer look at the other things in the storage bag for the time being, and it would not be too late to check them carefully after returning. After putting Lin Qingyun's corpse and storage bag into the blessed land bead and taking them out for a good burial, Chen Qingyun took action again. After exploring the retreat room again and making sure that nothing was missed, he quickly left and went to the refining room next to it. As a refiner, this is the place where he stays the longest, and it is also the place where magic tools are stored. Compared with the retreat room, the temperature here seems much more normal, neither cold nor hot. There are 3 refining furnaces on the ground, which are bronze-colored with 3 legs and are half the height of a person. Around, in the distance, there are 10 stone shelves placed against the wall, similar to secular bookshelves, separated by several layers. There are many finished magic tools and many refining materials on them. There are finished magic tools and refining materials. No need to think too much, let alone look at them. Chen Qingyun opened the storage bag and began to collect. When collecting, he he found that about 20% of the materials had rusted and decayed because they were placed for too long. Most of the containers for storing liquid materials were empty, and the substances in them had long evaporated and disappeared. As for the magic tools, most of them were well preserved, all at the second and third levels. I haven't seen the fourth level magic tools yet. No matter what, collect them first and look at them slowly when you go back. Pack up all the magic tools and take them away. Chen Qingyun tried to touch the last 3 refining furnaces, and they felt cold. He tapped them a few times, and they made a dull sound. They were still usable, but I didn't know if they were useful for the time being. Never mind. I took them all away. After collecting the 3 refining furnaces, the storage bag was already full. At this time, Chen Qingyun was about to leave the refining room, and suddenly he noticed a sudden movement outside the refining room. They are here again. With a raised eyebrow, Chen Qingyun looked sideways and saw 5 figures rushing in. After entering this place, they quickly distanced themselves from each other and dispersed in 5 places. Hand them over. A familiar scolding sounded, and it was Nangong Ming who spoke. He stared at Chen Qingyun with a frown, and the murderous intent on his face was not concealed. Around him, there were Taoist Tuayu, Zhuo Xiangwen, Sun Tai, and Ling Zai. Seeing the 5 people appear here, Chen Qingyun's eyes flashed with a gleam of brilliance. He looked at the 5 people's state and expression, and could see that they were more or less embarrassed. It was obvious that they had been fighting with those flame creatures for a long time. If they would perish in that magma fire area, Chen Qingyun naturally didn't believe it. Whether it was Nangong Ming, Ling Zai, or Sun Tai and Taoist Tuayu, the 4 of them came from big sects and had great backgrounds. The strength shown by the 4 people before was extraordinary, far beyond the reach of cultivators of the same level. It was obvious that their strength was definitely reserved. It was not surprising that they had the means to cross the magma fire area. But Zhuo Xiangwen, as a casual cultivator, how could he follow along? Shouldn't he be killed or abandoned by the other 4 people? This thought emerged in his mind. The next moment, the actions of Ling Zai and the other 4 completely revealed the answer to this question. Chapter 215, 1 verses 5. Ling Zai, Sun Tai, Taoist Tuayu, and Zhuo Xiangwen only had 40% to 50% of their mana left at this moment. They had already chosen to join forces and help Nangong Ming to surround Chen Qingyun tightly, blocking his way, and each of them activated the magic weapon in their hands. Looking at this posture, if he just opened his mouth to refuse, he would definitely be attacked heavily. This is a 5-on-1 fight. Hand over your storage bag. Nangong Ming scolded again, with an order in his tone, staring at Chen Qingyun's storage bag with burning eyes. Looking at the actions of Ling Zai and others, they were also aggressive, with their oars revealed and their sharp edges exposed, and there was no intention of stopping. At this time, anyone with a discerning eye could see that Nangong Ming and the other 5 had reached a cooperation. The reason why they did this could be guessed with a little thought. It was nothing more than Chen Qingyun first discovered the way to cross the magma fire area, which made them anxious. They thought Chen Qingyun had taken the initiative to seize the opportunities here. In their opinion, Chen Qingyun arrived at the core area of the cave first. How could he not gain anything if he took action early? He must have gained a lot of good things. He even seized the opportunities and treasures here in advance, and would not leave them even a piece. So they all wanted to kill Chen Qingyun first and snatch his storage bag. This also made the 5 people work together again, and Nangong Ming took the lead by default. They all made a surprise move and quickly joined forces to fly over the magma fire area and set foot here. In terms of time, they were about a quarter of an hour slower than Chen Qingyun. But they would not be naive to think that Chen Qingyun would not gain anything during this period. Who would believe it? They would not believe it even if they were skinned. The atmosphere returned to the time when the Yuqiang fruit was discovered. It was as if the gunpowder fuse was lit and it would soon explode. The atmosphere became more and more tense. This is driven by interests. Feeling the killing intent of the 5 people, they had no intention of hiding it at all, and their intention to attack was self-evident. When Chen Qingyun sighed in his heart, A cold smile appeared on his lips. He had no intention of resolving the contradiction in front of him, nor could he resolve it. Knowing that time was limited and this battle was inevitable, Chen Qingyun's eyes fell directly on Taoist Huayu. Thinking of the small movements made by the other party when entering the dark cave, he immediately smiled coldly and said meaningfully, "Master, now that things have come to this, there is no need to hide your foxtail anymore." The 5 people were more than 3 or 4 meters apart. Even if they had reached a joint effort, they were also on guard against each other, guarding against the sudden attack of the people around them. As soon as Chen Qingyun said this, Lingxi turned her eyes and swept coldly towards Taoist Huayu. Because she was closest to this person, when she heard Chen Qingyun's words, she noticed that Taoist Huayu's movements trembled, as if some shameful secret had been discovered. Because of his practice of magic, he is good at bewitching and charming, and has a deep understanding of people's hearts, expressions, and movements. This strange behavior of Taoist Huayu did not escape Lingxi's eyes even for a moment. There is something fishy here. Lingxi frowned secretly, and immediately moved his body to distance himself from Taoist Huayu. In such a tense atmosphere, seeing Lingxi like this, he was deliberately on guard against Taoist Huayu. In an instant, Nangong Ming and the other 4 were attracted to the attention, and their eyes fell on Taoist Huayu, each with their own reactions. Sun Tai had a blank expression on his face, and it was impossible to tell whether he was happy or angry. He just glanced at Taoist Huayu, and then his eyes focused on Nangong Ming and Chen Qingyun. Zhuo Xiangwan and Nangong Ming, like Lingxi, each secretly stepped back a few steps, and became more wary of Taoist Huayu. After Chen Qingyun's loud questioning, they couldn't help but wonder if Taoist Huayu had any ulterior motives and was hiding a foxtail. Since it cannot be proved that this is false, and it cannot be proved that it is true for the time being, then we can only be on guard first. I don't want to be attacked by the other party suddenly when we join forces. It seems to be a short-term cooperation, but even a fool can see that as long as Chen Qingyun dies, the cooperation relationship will instantly fall apart, and they will instantly meet each other in war. Who will be the next Chen Qingyun? Hearing Chen Qingyun's words, and then looking at the reactions of the 4 people around Nangong Ming, Taoist Master Huayu's face sank, and he did not rush to respond. He first looked around at Lingxi and the other 4, paying attention to their expressions, and then set his eyes on Chen Qingyun, narrowing his eyes. "I am stupid, but I don't know what Mr. Lu means by this." As soon as the voice fell, without waiting for Chen Qingyun to reply, Taoist Master Huayu's breath surged like a wild wave, and he suddenly attacked. He saw the whisk in his hand slanting, rolling out several white edges and sweeping out, hitting Chen Qingyun directly. Facing the sudden attack of Taoist Huayu, he was obviously cautious. If he continued to speak, he might be exposed and become the enemy of everyone. He simply took the initiative and provoked this battle. HMPH. Chen Qingyun's sneer became stronger, although he seemed to be motionless. The true energy in his body had already been rapidly mobilized and operated to the extreme, ready to burst out at any time. A purple bead was ready to go, and suddenly activated, condensing a layer of purple light shield, covering Chen Qingyun. The purple light shield launched a defense, and the condensed purple light shield reached the peak of the foundation building period. With a few clangs, it firmly resisted the attack of the white edge. Before Chen Qingyun could move. At this time, the 4 people around Lingxi saw that the battle had already broken out, so they had no intention of watching. They didn't care whether the Taoist Huayu had any tricks. The 4 of them attacked one after another, first killing Chen Qingyun and taking his storage bag. Red Lotus Immortal Sword, Magic Moon Golden Wheel, Ice Soul Cold Light Thorn, Fiery Ring. 4 completely different attacks were launched almost at the same time, hitting Chen Qingyun directly. Even with the purple light shield protecting him, Chen Qingyun had no intention of resisting the 4 attacks at the same time. The 1000-star Demon Slayer sword appeared in front of him, and he used the 1000-star sword shield. The Demon Slayer sword exuded a brilliant light. Countless sword lights emerged, condensed, and transmitted the momentum of cleansing evil demons and eliminating the turbidity of heaven and earth. forming a solid sword shield. The 4 attacks came one after another, and at the same time, they hit the thousand-star sword shield fiercely, and were all blocked. Then, a sharp sound of breaking through the air sounded. In the midst of the light, the thousand-star demon slayer sword whistled and slashed directly at Taoist Hunyuan. This old Taoist seemed gentle and easygoing, but he was not ambiguous when he started to fight, and he launched a fierce attack. He did not hide at this time, and swung the whisk in his hand, hitting the strong edge to meet the attack. Two forces met. The edge of the whisk was cut off, and the Taoist Hunyuan was shocked and his expression changed. He was worried about the other 2 treasures in the storage bag, wondering whether to activate them at this time. But before he made up his mind, a cold light appeared. Under Chen Qingyun's control, the 5 elements used the explosive version of the fireball technique and bombarded him wildly. Chapter 216, Talisman covering the Sea Ruler. Behind Wuxing, the mysterious fire pattern emerged. A large amount of fire energy was generated, condensing into bucket-sized fire bombs. Under Wuxing's use, these dozens of fire bombs whistled out, leaving a series of gorgeous fire tails. Like a group of meteors falling, it submerged Taoist Hunyuan and burst into a loud rumbling sound. Liu's move was even faster, spreading his body and rushing straight to Nangong Minghe, holding the thousand-star demon slayer sword in his hand, and slashing fiercely with one sword. Nangong Minghe and Taoist Hunyuan, each facing the attack of a puppet at the peak of the foundation building period, reacted differently. When Nangong Minghe saw Yu at the peak of the foundation building period, his expression changed slightly, but he did not show panic. His palm quickly swept across the storage bag, took out a diamond shield armor talisman and activated it, and in an instant, a solid diamond shield armor was condensed. With this sword, Yu burst out with all his strength. The thousand-star demon slayer sword shone brightly, and fiercely slashed the diamond shield armor talisman, making it buzz and tremble violently, and it was about to break. So strong. Nangong Ming's expression changed again, and he quickly urged the flame ring to block in front of him. The defensive effect of this magic weapon was launched. Crack. The diamond shield armor broke and exploded into more than a dozen pieces. Fortunately, with the defense of the flame ring, Nangong Ming blocked the remaining power of the thousand-star demon slayer sword without any danger, and secretly felt a lingering fear. Boom. Looking at the 5 elements, more than a dozen explosive fire bombs have submerged Taoist Hunyuan under the bombardment. Low hums can be vaguely seen, and shield lights continue to emerge. It seems that this Taoist priest has used defensive means to resist this level of bombardment with all his strength. He must be surprised in his heart. Is Chen Qingyun crazy? He is not stingy with mana consumption like this. And when the sight turns back to Chen Qingyun, facing the attack from Linksai, Sun Tai, and Zhuxiantu, 3 magical instruments appeared around him. Among them, the demon refining tower moved across the sky, expanded to the size of a huge bell, and covered Linksai's head. Its powerful magic power shocked Linksai, causing his face to change color and feel difficult. The demon refining tower has the power to restrain demons, and after the attack was launched, it had the upper hand. The other 2 magical instruments were the flying knife of the void and the golden crow ring. The flying knife of the void came and went quickly, flashing phantoms, and met Sun Tai's golden wheel of the moon head on. The 2 magical instruments came into contact and chopped down, bursting with a harsh sound of metal interweaving, and sparks flew everywhere. The golden crow ring was of the fire element, and it hit Zhuxiantu directly. The golden crow molten fire released made the expression of this casual cultivator change greatly, and he had to control the Red Lotus Immortal Sword to passively resist. For a moment, Chen Qingyun fought 1 against 5, and under the maintenance of the strong true essence, he did not lose the upper hand at all. Facing the demon refining tower, Linksai could clearly sense the pure yang power contained in this magic weapon. Even if she used the magic to dodge, she was still firmly locked and chased after her. Who is this Lu Yuan? He is so powerful. In the empty refining room, the battle between the 6 people instantly became white hot. Linksai and the others saw 2 puppets at the peak of foundation building, and then looked at the magic weapons activated by Chen Qingyun, two of which reached the second level top grade. They were secretly shocked. Even before. Under the leadership of Nangong Ming, this proud son of the Star Sect used the third level middle grade talisman Sumeru Escape Talisman to lead the four of them across the magma fire area. Immediately, several people spent some time to recover their magic power to ensure that they could join forces to fight Chen Qingyun. But at this time, they found that they could not take down Chen Qingyun in a short time even if they joined forces. Nangong Ming and the other five saw this, and their faces showed solemnity. They did not dare to be careless at all, and they all used their best skills. Take the Taoist Huayu for example. After being hit by dozens of fire bombs in succession, he was in a mess. The sword on his back finally came out of the sheath, and he whistled at several fire bombs, blasting them head-on. Even so. Facing the crazy attack of the five elements, it seemed that the magic power was free and endless, which made Taoist Huayu frown all the time. He tried to shake off the five elements several times and hit Chen Qingyun directly, but found that it was impossible. The five elements in front of him either used the wood element to bind or launched an underground attack. More often, they directly used the fire bomb on a large scale, and the residual power often affected Sun Tai and Nangong Ming. He glanced at Zhuxiantu, who was closest to him, and saw that the opponent had fallen into a disadvantage under the suppression of the Golden Crow Ring and was beaten back repeatedly. If they keep fighting like this, they will definitely be defeated. Ling Xi's situation was not much better. This woman was constantly suppressed by the demon refining tower, with a solemn look on her face. At the same time, she used the Ice Soul Cold Light Thorn and the 9 Condensation Mysterious Water Mirror to restrain and resist. She was already sweating all over, and could only take care of herself, without even a chance to breathe. "Ah, my magic weapon!" A loud scream rang out. Under the continuous slashing of the 1000-star Demon Slayer sword, cracks appeared on the flame ring, causing Nangong Ming to yell in pain. Used to being high and mighty, superior to others. The magic weapon he had used since childhood was the top one in the same rank, with excellent magic weapon advantages. At this time, the flame ring was broken, and it was about to be torn into pieces after a few more hits. Nangong Ming's face showed shame and anger, and he felt that he had lost face in front of everyone. Being beaten so badly by the casual cultivator Lu Yuan, he gritted his teeth, slapped his storage bag, and took out a small silver ruler. This scene would not have attracted everyone's attention. But then, as the mana was rapidly injected, a powerful and invincible aura suddenly appeared. Like a gust of wind, it quickly swept over Nangong Ming. In an instant, Chen Qingyun, Zhuxiantu, Taoist Huayu, and even Ling Xi and Sun Tai stopped moving and were firmly attracted. Their eyes fell on Nangong Ming. No, to be precise, it was on the silver ruler in his hand. Talisman. Talisman, treasure. Feeling the powerful aura that was far beyond the foundation building stage, Zhuxiantu widened his eyes and exclaimed. His face was full of envy and shock. Chen Qingyun frowned, his eyes focused on the silver ruler talisman treasure, revealing a solemn look. Unlike the broken talisman treasures such as the golden sword talisman, the aura revealed by this talisman treasure is more than 3 times that of the golden sword talisman. It is obviously a complete version of the talisman treasure, which can kill the Purple Mansion cultivator immediately. A foundation building cultivator who can actually possess a killing treasure like the Fubao is worthy of being the descendant of Nangong Yuang. Who can match him among those present? This thought emerged in the minds of Chen Qingyun and the other 5 at the same time. Now that the Fubao has appeared, the result of this battle is obvious. Chen Qingyun does not think that he has the ability to confront the Fubao head-on. If he continues to fight like this, how can he be a match for Nangong Ming? Chen Qingyun is about to recall the 5 elements and the 6 combinations, perform the 5 elements sky escape, and escape. Only a fool would continue to fight with Nangong Ming. At this time, something unexpected happened. Nangong Ming, who was holding the Fuhai ruler and was about to kill Chen Qingyun, suddenly changed his face and hurriedly activated the armor on his body. 3 sounds of breaking through the air came at a high speed, reflecting the brilliant golden light, and launched a fierce attack directly from the back of Nangong Ming. Nangong Ming was enraged by Chen Qingyun, and his expression was filled with shame and indignation. His attention was firmly drawn to him, and he was about to use the Fu High ruler to launch an attack and kill Chen Qingyun. At this moment, he didn't notice that someone suddenly launched a sneak attack on him before he could kill Chen Qingyun first. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 217 Sun Tai and number 039 S Plan. Almost in the blink of an eye, the armor magic weapon Imperial Scale Black Armor on Nangong Ming's body was passively activated to block this fatal blow for him. The three golden wheels showed their extreme sharpness and slashed Nangong Ming's body fiercely, making him unable to react at all. The situation changed, and this sudden attack immediately caused Chen Qingyun to frown and look over. Sun Tai looked cold, and he didn't know when he had stood behind Nangong Ming. It was he who controlled the magic moon golden wheel and launched a sneak attack on Nangong Ming. Around Ling's beautiful eyes moved, and she glanced at Sun Tai in surprise. She obviously didn't expect that the other party would attack at this time, and the target was still Nangong Ming. Taoist Huayu narrowed his eyes, and a faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, just watching quietly. Zhuo Xiangwan was stunned, unable to imagine the scene in front of him. Sun Tai dared to attack Nangong Ming first. Shouldn't he eliminate Liu Yuan first? But the facts were in front of him, and he couldn't help but wonder why Sun Tai did this. The reactions of several people were quick, and their expressions changed in an instant. At this time, angry screams rang out, mixed with three clanging sounds. Nangong Ming couldn't dodge in time and took these three attacks. The Imperial Scale Black Armor on his body worked and saved his life. But under Sun Tai's explosive attack, it only blocked one attack. The entire set of Imperial Scale Black Armor was shaken apart by the powerful force, spreading three cracks. Then, it shattered like a jade pendant, turned into several dim pieces, and fell to the ground. As Sun Tai had not yet recalled the magic moon golden wheel, the sleeves of his right hand moved out of thin air. A subtle, imperceptible puffing sound came from Nangong Ming's body. Bitch! Nangong Ming's face was replaced by anger. He turned around quickly, clenched the Fu High ruler in his hand, and looked at Sun Tai with a vicious look. He was about to activate the talisman to kill Sun Tai. But the next moment, he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his body. Looking down, he saw that his chest was injured at some point, and blood was gushing out. A piercing pain came. One of the wounds went straight through the heart. Accompanied by the burning poison, it spread to the whole body in an instant. You! Nangong Ming raised his right hand tremblingly, and almost roared, his face full of fierce murderous intent. The blood that kept gushing out of his mouth made it difficult for him to speak, and he could only stare at Sun Tai viciously. He never thought that when he was offering the talisman to eliminate Chen Qingyun, Sun Tai would do this at this time. At this time, not only Nangong Ming, but also Chen Qingyun and the other four were also puzzled or surprised. They each pulled away from each other, forming a siege, and vaguely surrounded Nangong Ming and Sun Tai. While being alert, they were also very curious about why Sun Tai suddenly attacked Nangong Ming. If he coveted the talisman, he should have just snatched it. The appearance of the talisman did not surprise the few people too much. Thinking of the other party's father as Nangong Yuang, it is not surprising that he can have such a treasure. The strange thing is that the situation was originally to besiege Chen Qingyun. Why did Sun Tai suddenly turn against him and attack Nangong Ming? Ling Sai and the other four had heard Chen Qingyun's previous question to Taoist Huayu, and wanted to find out the foxtail of this Taoist. Since then, they have been careful and wary of this old Taoist. As a result, the opponent hadn't made any big moves yet, but Sun Tai, who was usually taciturn, suddenly made a shocking move and killed Nangong Ming with one move. What was he planning? Everyone present was calculating. Something was wrong. In this team, except for Taoist Huayu, Sun Tai's actions became unpredictable. Chen Qingyun recalled the 5 elements and 6 combinations, stood firmly in front of him, and stared at Sun Tai and Nangong Ming. He saw Sun Tai's moves clearly before. He first launched a surprise attack with the magic moon golden wheel, and even though it was blocked by Nangong Ming's imperial scale black armor, the armor was broken. At that time, the second attack followed closely, obviously with the intention of finishing off the knife. In a quick glance, Chen Qingyun saw 3 invisible silver threads shooting out from Sun Tai's cuffs. At the moment when the imperial scale black armor was broken, he found the right opportunity and pierced Nangong Ming's body directly. Then it was quickly retracted and disappeared into Sun Tai's sleeves. The silver thread was very similar to the transparent thread. It was the first time I saw Sun Tai use it. This was not showing off. Sun Tai only showed off the magic moon golden wheel, wind and thunder sky blade wings and heavenly thunder sun. This fatal blow in an instant was beyond Chen Qingyun's expectations. It was not the heavenly thunder sun that was used, but the hidden silver thread. Whether it was the sneak attack of the magic moon golden wheel in front or the attack of the silver thread in the back, they were beyond Nangong Ming's expectations. Even if he resisted the first attack and saved his life, he didn't expect there would be a second attack. Sun Tai would attack in this way again. It seems that he had planned it long ago. With his heart pierced, combined with the deadly poison carried by the silver thread, Nangong Ming hurriedly took several kinds of pills such as rejuvenation pills and detoxification pills. He tried to recover from his injuries and remove the toxins, but it was useless. Even if a foundation-building cultivator suffered such a fatal injury, he would be helpless unless he took a magical medicine of the 4th level or above that could turn the dead into flesh and bones. Did Nangong Ming have it? He didn't. As for the toxin, this poison was the toad venom of a 1,000-year-old yin toad, which required a special antidote to resolve it. Nangong Ming obviously couldn't save himself. Feeling his vitality slipping away and the toxins in his body taking effect, Nangong Ming's face showed deep fear and panic. He wanted to ask for the antidote, but in the end he fell to the ground with a plop, twitched a few times, and died completely. The core disciple of the star sect died straight in front of everyone without any signs, becoming the first person to fall. The Fu High ruler that fell to the ground also became the focus of everyone at this moment. But no one came forward to pick it up. Instead, they were on guard against each other. If the first one rushed forward, he would definitely become the focus of attack and a live target. With the death of Nangong Ming, the current situation has changed suddenly. The 3 Taoist priests who no longer joined forces to confront Chen Qingyun, but all of them wanted to kill Sun Tai first. No one wanted to become the second Nangong Ming and expose their backs to Sun Tai. Ha 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 ha. Surrounded by Chen Qingyun and the other 4, Sun Tai was not panicked at all, but suddenly laughed out loud. His laughter was hearty and his expression was happy, as if he had avenged some blood feud, and his whole expression looked a little more ferocious. Looking at Sun Tai's appearance, several people showed a look of contemplation, and no one acted rashly. The atmosphere was maintained like this. Deu, Sunday let Sun Tai laugh for a while, and when the laughter died down, Chen Qingyun took the lead and asked the doubts in his heart. Does this Nangong Ming have an irreconcilable feud with you? Chapter 218, Revenge for Genocide. Sun Tai dared to do this, and he was willing to offend Nangong Yuan and Xingzong to kill Nangong Ming. It is estimated that it is not as simple as a talisman. There must be other reasons. Recalling the strange look that Sun Tai showed when he first met Nangong Ming and learned his name and origin. Combining all these signs, there must be some irreconcilable hatred between Sun Tai and Nangong Ming, or Nangong Yuan. Nangong Yuan's reputation as the first purple mansion in Xinghai is naturally not made of mud. But he fought his way out. I don't know how much blood of the strong is stained on his hands. Hearing Chen Qingyun's question, Sun Tai's eyes fell on Chen Qingyun, and the smile on his face was restrained a lot. He nodded heavily and said word by word, Nangong Yuan and my Sun family have a grudge of exterminating the clan. As soon as these words came out, Sun Tai's face showed resentment, staring at the corpse on the ground and said, I, Sun, am temporarily unable to fight against Nangong Yuang. But, as the saying goes, a son pays for his father's debt, so I will kill his son first to avenge my father and pay tribute to the spirits of my Sun family. At this point, Sun Tai's eyes showed determination. He was not afraid of Nangong Yuang's strength and reputation at all, and his eyes were full of hatred. After learning the reason, Taoist Huayu, Zhuo Xiangwen, and Ling Xi finally understood. It seems that the blood feud between Sun Tai and Nangong Ming is naturally unresolvable. He will take action sooner or later. Choosing this time is undoubtedly the best time. At the same time, the three of them began to fear Sun Tai. They were able to walk with Nangong Ming from the very beginning without showing murderous intent or fighting. They even joined forces with each other several times and only took action when they got here. The forbearance and calculation along the way are worthy of praise. Sun Tai is a man of great character, and he is decisive in his actions. The reluctance and anger on Nangong Ming's face before his death were enough to show that he had never expected that he would be the first to fall. He died here before he could use all his treasures and means. It seems that arrogance and self-righteousness will eventually lead to big losses. Nangong Ming is a living example. As for the Sun family. In the past 2 years, Chen Qingyun often read the history of Xinghai, the development of many forces, etc. Looking back on the memories in his mind, he did have some impressions. Among those present, only Ling Xi did not pay attention to this and had not heard of it. The other 3 Taoist priests who had heard of it a little. As the absolute overlord that rules Xinghai, Xingzong rules and manages all the immortal cultivation families within its jurisdiction. The Sun family belonged to a Purple Mansion family more than 10 years ago, located in the outer Xinghai, and was famous for refining weapons. Later, for some reason, rumors of collusion with demon cultivators were spread. At that time, the Sun family was in the limelight. Nangong Yuang, who was traveling in the outer sea, heard the news and attacked the Sun family overnight. With his own strength, he uprooted this 1,000-year-old family and killed 3 purple palaces of the Sun family. In front of Nangong Yuang, the Sun family was defeated. Since then, the Sun family was wiped out overnight. Afterwards. Whether the Sun family colluded with the demon cultivators. Although Nangong Yuang claimed that it was true, the specific details were not disclosed. The Sun family was eradicated, but no substantial evidence of the Sun family colluding with the demon cultivators was announced. This abnormal behavior of Nangong Yuang can be said to be full of doubts, which makes people think deeply. Some people speculate that Nangong Yuang coveted the Sun family's strong refining background, so he launched a surprise attack overnight. Others said that he wanted to use this performance to attract resources and appreciation for himself and Xingzong, which was nothing more than driven by interests. Some even said that all this was just to create a more resounding reputation and eliminate the Sun family. In short, there are many different opinions and many people speculate. Discussions are discussions, but under the eyes of Nangong Yuang, in front of the giant Xingzong, who dares to interfere in this matter? In the end, the matter gradually subsided and became a topic of conversation after dinner. It was a strong ink stroke that Nangong Yuang showed his strong strength. As for whether the Sun family colluded with the demon cultivators, the truth of this matter was only known by Nangong Yuang, Xingzong, and even the Sun family members themselves. Xingzong has always been aloof from the world and would not care about the survival of such a small family. At present, Sun Tai claimed to be from the Sun family. It seems that he was a survivor of the catastrophe of the genocide that year and knew some secrets. When Chen Qingyun thought about this. As expected. I saw that Sun Tai's expression gradually became ferocious, and he looked at Nangong Ming's body with an extremely vicious and resentful look, and said viciously, "It's bullshit to say that my Sun family colluded with the demon cultivators. It's just a rumor. That old demon Nangong didn't distinguish right from wrong. He slaughtered my entire Sun family over a disagreement. What's the difference between this and the demon cultivators? What is the first purple mansion in the Xinghai? How could the Xingzong produce such a scum?" Not far away, hearing such remarks, the demon cultivators were mentioned in the words, and Ling Xi chuckled helplessly. In her opinion, colluding with the immortal cultivation family is totally unworthy. Unless there is really a huge interest. Otherwise, which demon cultivator would be so stupid as to get involved with the family? In the eyes of the immortal cultivation family, contact with the demon cultivators is not the same. Who doesn't worry that the demon cultivators will turn against them and slaughter the mortals of the family? To put it in a broader sense, colluding with the demon cultivators is to discredit their own family, which will greatly affect the subsequent development of the family. So, the collusion between the demon cultivators and the immortal cultivator families may not happen. At least, the cultivators of the Magic Island disdain to do such things. You are the survivor of the Sun family back then. Zhuxiantu recalled the rumors that the Sun family was exterminated more than 10 years ago, and he could not guess the origin of this Sun Tai. That's right. Sun Tai said decisively, with a raging anger on his face, and said with a roar. That night, Qingguang attacked my Sun family at night, not even letting go of mortal servants, or even a dog. If it weren't for the ancestor who tried to protect me and sent me out of the family in time, otherwise my Sun family would have been completely extinct. How could I have the opportunity to redress my grievances, clear my grievances, and expose Qingguang's scumbag behavior? In front of Chen Qingyun and others, Sun Tai had the idea of telling the Sun family's grievances back then. In fact, this matter has been suppressed in his heart for too long. No one tells it, and dare not spread it everywhere, for fear of being silenced by Qingguang. The name of Qingguang was like a huge rock hanging in his heart. He often felt that revenge was hopeless, and he hated it more and more. It was also because of this that in order to avenge his family, Sun Xuanyi changed his name to Sun Tai. Then he endured humiliation and went to Lingbao Mountain to practice hard. All of this was to be able to kill Qingguang with his own hands one day and break this hopelessness. But no matter how hard he tried, fighting against a Purple Mansion cultivator with the strength of the Foundation Establishment stage, or a strong man of Qingguang's level. While Sun Tai felt powerless, he also became more determined to become stronger. Chapter 219. The talisman is in hand. Now. This time, the treasure hunting operation in the cave made him meet Qingguang by accident. When he was excited, hatred surged in his heart. Even though he was accused and insulted as a waste by Qingguang along the way, he always endured it. He just wanted to wait for a perfect opportunity to kill this man with one hand. With such a revengeful mind, he was able to restrain himself and look for the next opportunity, which led to the result of killing Qingguang. Ling Sai and the others didn't say anything more after hearing this. Taking advantage of this opportunity to breathe, how could they miss it? They secretly recovered their remaining true essence quickly. Chen Qingyun had consumed the most mana because he had fought 1 against 5 before. There was less than 10% of the true essence left in his body. Fortunately, there was the Shanhai Qinglian Tai as a backup true essence, so he was not in a hurry at this moment. The grudge between Qingguang and the Sun family has been over for more than 10 years. After more than a decade of baptism, the hatred in Sun Tai's heart still cannot be washed away, which shows how much influence this incident has on him. If it is not resolved, it will definitely become a demon in the future. However, let's talk about it. They have long disliked Qingguang, who always pretends to be a leader and looks down on others. Even if Sun Tai does not take action, they will also kill him later. What Xing's encore disciples are nothing in the face of absolute interests. As long as one of them kills the others, who will know what happened today? Feeling that Sun Tai's thoughts were swept by hatred, his face was full of gloom and murderous color. Chen Qingyun frowned slightly, secretly urging the earth puppet outside the refining room to launch the earth escape technique, and prepare for action in advance. The atmosphere became murderous as Sun Tai told the story. Everyone present understood that Sun Tai dared to tell this secret, and it was probably after careful consideration. Next, 1 or 2 people, or even everyone present, will be killed. According to Sun Tai's strength, is it possible to fight against them all at the same time and kill them all? Earlier, everyone naturally thought that this was impossible. But the situation is different now. Don't forget. After Qingguang was killed, what was left behind was not only the storage bag, but also a talisman. Almost at the same time, the eyes of the 5 people fell on the Fu Haike, which was lying on the ground and had long since restrained its power. If Sun Tai obtained this Fu Haike, they would have to be buried with Nangong Ming. It happened in a flash. A figure suddenly rushed out from the corpse on the ground, with a firm goal, and took the Fu Haike and grabbed it in his hand. At the same time, Chen Qingyun made a thunderous move, urging the 1000-star Demon Slayer sword to slash at Sun Tai. Facing the Fu Haike being taken away on one side, the flying sword was slashing towards him on the other side. Sun Tai's face became more angry, and when he shouted violently, he threw out 3 Tanlazi to meet it. After Tian Lazi flew out of his hand, he kept moving, controlling the Huanyuan golden wheel to fiercely slash at the earth puppet, trying to intercept it. Boom! A huge roar exploded, and smoke and dust rolled, confusing the vision. At the critical moment, the earth puppet threw it away, and with the help of the thick smoke, it once again quickly escaped into the ground. The 5 elements had already been ready, bursting forward at an astonishing speed, and caught the Fu High ruler. This talisman fell into Chen Qingyun's hands. Kill Sun Tai first. Before the smoke and dust had dispersed, a loud shout rang out. Taoist Tuau quickly attacked after Chen Qingyun, and the black longsword in front of him whimpered, exuding rolling magic energy, and launched a fierce attack. Ling Xianzuo Xiangwen felt the emergence of this magic energy at the same time. The former showed a look of surprise. The latter's face changed slightly. Why did this Taoist Tuau control the magic weapon? The two were confused, but they didn't have time to think too much. They had already seen the current situation. Compared with Chen Qingyun, Chen Tai wanted to kill them and take the treasures here for himself. If they didn't join forces at this time, who knows what amazing move Sun Tai would make. Witnessing his sneak attack from behind and killing Nangong Ming with one blow, who would dare to join forces with him so decisively and fiercely? In this comparison, Chen Qingyun seemed a lot more friendly. Even if he got the Fu High ruler, it would at least be better than falling into Sun Tai's hands. It took only a thought to weigh the pros and cons quickly. Ling Xianzuo Xiangwen made up their minds and joined forces to kill Sun Tai. Bing Po Hangyuan Thorn and Honglian Xianjian launched attacks one after another, moving together with Huaxiu Wu Dao. Hola. The sound of metal friction rang out. The wind and thunder sky knife wings behind Sun Tai spread out, and when they suddenly flapped, hundreds of wind and thunder sky knives were shot out. 5 kinds of attacks met each other, making a clanging sound. Accompanied by the clanging sound, each showed its power in an instant. What made Chen Qingyun feel incredible was that Sun Tai's attack blocked all their attacks. A large amount of the remaining power of the wind and thunder heavenly swords swept over, and Chen Qingyun opened a purple light shield to block the wind and thunder heavenly swords one by one. Looking at Ling Zai again, she sacrificed a purple pearl magic weapon, which scattered a layer of light shield to protect herself, showing a powerful defensive effect. Taoist Tuau did not have any powerful defensive magic weapons, so he just waited to quickly perform his body skills to dodge. Thunder bursts from dozens of wind and thunder heavenly swords bombarded the ground, cutting out many gullies and knife marks. The blood-transforming black knife flew backwards in the air and flew back to the front of Taoist Tuau. This black long knife was very incompatible with the image of the Taoist, and it was very strange. The 1000-star Demon Slaying Sword, the Red Lotus Immortal Sword, and the Ice Soul Cold Light Thorn all turned around and returned to their masters. No more attacks were launched with the same moves to consume mana. Chen Qingyun and the other 4 stood at the exit, blocking the way, and their eyes were focused on Sun Tai. The strength displayed by the other party was beyond imagination, and it was obvious that he had reserved it before. This boy's character and means are so powerful. When he grows up in the future, he may not have no hope of fighting against Nangong Yuang. He. At this time, Taoist Tuau suddenly laughed, took the initiative to put away the blood-transforming black knife, stared at Sun Tai and said, "Deu, Sun is very powerful, he can withstand the joint attack of the 4 of us. It's really a young man to be feared." As soon as these words came out, Sun Tai frowned, stared at Taoist Tuau firmly, and did not make a move. He wanted to see what the other party was going to do. He took this opportunity to secretly digest the qi and blood pills to replenish his mana, and he didn't want to miss any chance. The Taoist priest has something to say, so why not speak frankly? He remained alert and said in a deep voice, wanting to know what the other party wanted to say. Seeing this, Zhuo Xiangwen and Ling Zai also stopped their actions, thinking about how to deal with Sun Tai, and secretly moved towards the exit. Once they noticed something was wrong, they would turn around and retreat without hesitation. One Sun Tai, one Chen Qingyun. The strength of these two people is stronger than expected, but it is not easy to deal with. As for the Taoist priest Huyu, seeing that he used the magic weapon, there must be something fishy. It is estimated that he is also a hidden ruthless person. This treasure hunt has come to an end, and everyone's true colors have gradually been revealed. Each one is more cunning than the other. Chapter 220, Sending Off. I do have something to say. The Taoist master Huyu stopped smiling, his expression turned solemn, and he swung the whisk in his hand and said, "We came here just to get treasures by chance. Since Brother Sun has a blood feud with Nangong Yuang, he naturally doesn't want to die here before his revenge is avenged. So, in my opinion, how about we put aside the fight between us?" As soon as these words came out, the whole place fell into silence. Before, the Taoist master Huyu had called on several people to kill Sun Tai first. Now he changed his mind and tried to smooth things over to stop the dispute. What was he planning? This thought came to the minds of several people at the same time, and they naturally didn't think that Taoist master Huyu stopped because he was afraid of Sun Tai's strength. If that was the case, they could just leave, wouldn't it be better? Why waste more words here? So, the eyes of several people fell directly on Chen Qingyun without any concealment. Sensing several malicious gazes, Chen Qingyun's expression did not change. He held the Fu High ruler in his hand and stood between the 5 elements and the 6 combinations. He met the gaze of Taoist Huyu and spoke slowly. "Do you want to instigate them to attack me again?" As soon as the voice fell, Chen Qingyun injected magic power into the Fu High ruler without any fear. This talisman once again exuded a powerful aura, just floating in front of him, ready to explode at any time, and the powerful power contained in it could burst out at any time. In conjunction with the power of the talisman, Chen Qingyun's voice also sounded coldly. "Want to take action? You can try it." The same sentence was the same as when he monopolized the Yukium fruit before. However, with the success of the last time, and the talisman in hand at this time, Chen Qingyun's deterrence has risen again. Zhuo Xiangwen and Ling Zai, who were watching from the sidelines, could not help but feel nervous when they saw this familiar look again. Having no talisman in hand and not using it are two completely different things. Not to mention the help of talismans. Even a purple mansion cultivator can kill him. The two puppets at the peak of foundation building are not easy to deal with. Recalling the previous battle, under the call of Nangong Ming, the 5 people joined forces but could not do anything to Chen Qingyun. In the end, Sun Tai sneaked an attack on Nangong Ming and temporarily ended the battle. Even as strong as Nangong Ming was, he did not have the upper hand in Chen Qingyun's hands, and his flame ring was broken. So he had to take out the talisman to deal with it. And now, without Nangong Ming, the peak combat power of the foundation building period, and Sun Tai was watching covetously, with the intention of killing and silencing him. Taoist Huyu seems to be from a Taoist temple. He has a decent style but he has magic tools. He must be no simple man. We don't know what he is up to. Thinking about it this way, no matter how you look at it, this battle is very risky. He might become the next Nangong Ming. It is still unknown who wants to be the one who is waiting behind. Thinking of this, Zhuo Xiangwen was the first to admit his weakness. He took a few steps back and shook his head. He was only in the middle stage of foundation building. He was at the bottom of the field. He would not benefit from fighting with anyone. He knew the principle of retreating when he encountered an iron wall. Seeing Zhuo Xiangwen's attitude, Chen Qingyun smiled. He was not blinded by the interests and knew how to advance and retreat. He was a bit smart. As a casual cultivator, he could cultivate to the foundation building stage. He was much smarter and more tactful than Nangong Ming. With Zhuo Xiangwen taking the lead in retreating. Ling Sai's worry was even more undisguised. She simply waved her jade hand and muttered without any taboo. Master, Huayu, if you want to die, do it yourself, don't drag us into it. Among the 4 people, 2 chose not to participate. Master Huayu's face sank, and he had to look at Sun Tai. Master, you really have a good plan. Sun Tai was crazy, and his thoughts were hit by strong hatred, but he still kept his reason and spoke in a deep voice. As the master said, Sun's great revenge has not been avenged, and Nangong Yuang is still living happily outside. How can I fight to the death here and make enemies with Taoist friend Lu? After speaking, Sun Tai looked at Chen Qingyun with a burning look and a bit of pleading. Friend Lu, the talisman belongs to you. I don't want it, and please don't make things difficult for me. Let's stop the fight between you and me, how about it? The act of giving the talisman with a bow was really beyond everyone's expectations, and several people were surprised. Even Chen Qingyun's expression froze, as he had not expected Sun Tai to do such a thing. Sun Tai, do you know what it means to have that talisman? Chen Qingyun pondered, but before he could answer, Taoist Huayu became anxious and spoke in a questioning tone. Humphrey Sun Tai snorted. He could hear the meaning of the other party's words. Not only was he not moved, but he became more determined to become stronger, and responded word by word. Even if there is no talisman, one day in the future, I, Sun, will definitely kill Nangong Yuang. If these words were spoken by other foundation-building cultivators, everyone would only think it was ridiculous. But Sun Tai was different. From all the good performances along the way. And now the determination on his face was about to come out. No one would doubt the truth of these words, let alone laugh at them. Ha ha ha, good. Chen Qingyun, who had been watching from the sidelines with a stern look, suddenly laughed a few times. With this determination, it is not a lie to have the strength to fight against Nangong Yuang in the future. Then as you wish, I will accept this talisman with pleasure. After receiving this great gift from Sun Tai, he would not provoke him as long as the other party did not take the initiative to make things difficult for him. Having obtained the inheritance here, he had long wanted to leave this place, so why would he want to add to the fight? Foolish. Taoist Master Huayu could not help but sigh, showing a look of regret for not being able to make steel. Immediately, his eyes fell directly on Ling Sai, and suddenly changed the topic, saying with a smile, "Everyone, don't you want to kill this demon girl from the fantasy island?" Originally, he was still targeting Chen Qingyun, but he did not join forces. Now he is pointing the spearhead at Ling Sai again. Taoist Master Huayu's actions really made Chen Qingyun and the other 2 stunned. Ling Sai frowned when she heard this, and felt that Taoist Huayu was not a good person. She immediately retorted, "Stinky Taoist, what are you up to?" Ling Sai showed her strength without any fear in her words. When she raised her jade hand, she revealed a green bracelet on her wrist, and responded coldly, "Do you really think I'm a vase?" After the magic power was also injected, a fearful aura emanated from the jade bracelet, which had reached the strength of a talisman. This made Zhuo Xiangwen's expression change, and he took a few steps back in fear. Another talisman. Chapter 221 Teng Long Pil. After Fu Haike, the second talisman appeared, and Zhuo Xiangwen complained endlessly. Talisman treasures that are rarely seen on weekdays, but today I saw 2 at once. It is good to have a backer, and it is good to have a monk from Zaifu as a close relative. Chen Qingyun felt that the strength of the bracelet talisman was not weaker than Fu Haike, and he pondered without saying anything. He wanted to see how Taoist Huayu would respond. Sun Tai looked at Chen Qingyun, winked, and moved closer. It seems that once Ling Sai takes action, he will join forces with Chen Qingyun. The magic island has a lot of background. Taoist priest Huayu gritted his teeth, pondered and stopped talking, but there was still a cunning light surging in his eyes, As if he had another method. Chen Qingyun took a deep look at Taoist priest Yu, said nothing more, and greeted Wu crossing. Lu followed and flew towards the alchemy room. If you have time to talk nonsense here, it's better to continue hunting for treasures. If you act like a monster again, I will never give you a good look again. Lingxi frowned and glanced at Taoist priest Yu. She didn't bother to talk anymore and just followed Chen Qingyun's pace, not wanting to stay here for a long time. Sun Tai rolled up Nangong Ming's body, and he didn't know whether he decided to take it back to destroy the body or to use it for other purposes. The third one left here. Zhuo Xiangwen didn't dare to be alone in a room with Taoist Yu, so he quickly followed him. The last opportunity in this cave is in the alchemy room. In the retreat room and the refining room, Taoist priest Yu and others had already inspected and failed. Even though they knew that the treasures had fallen into Chen Qingyun's pocket, they did not dare to fight for them now. It's better to see if luck can come across anything good in this alchemy room. When the 5 people came in, they could see an alchemy furnace, and facilities such as secular medicine cabinets, shelves, and drawers were placed against the wall, which were obviously where elixirs and elixirs were stored. From the elixir area at the outermost edge of the cave, we can also guess that there are opportunities to obtain elixirs here. The 5 people acted quickly, rummaged through the medicinal materials and elixirs here, and picked up one jade bottle after another. Due to the passage of time, many of the elixirs in the bottle have lost their efficacy, and have even evaporated, becoming empty, leaving only a sense of decay. The same is true for elixirs, they have long since become rotten and decomposed, leaving nothing behind. How can this be? There is nothing here. After opening a dozen jade bottles one after another with no results, Lingxi couldn't help but complain. She frowned slightly and stamped her feet angrily. No more looking for it, no more looking for it. What he said seemed to really stop there. It would be strange if he really believed her lies. As expected, the witch from the magic island continued to rummage while complaining, her hands moving non-stop. Finally, I found everything in a jade bottle and harvested 3 white jade-colored elixirs, which still retain 80% to 90% efficacy. This pill is called Tenglong pill, and it has the effect of reborn and increasing one's skill. Lingxi quietly put it away in his storage bag. The other few people were in a similar situation to Lingxi, and they found opportunities one after another. Soon, Zhuo Xiangwen mysteriously put away a jade bottle. Excitement flashed in his eyes, slightly sweeping away the previous depression. I obtained 2 golden marrow pills, which can be used to open up the donjon and increase some true energy reserves. Chen Qingyun also discovered something here. When he opened the 32nd jade bottle, he found a purple pill. Tenglong pill. Recognizing the origin of the elixir at a glance, it can increase the mon of the foundation building period's true energy. Chen Qingyun did not hesitate and put it away in his storage bag. Immediately afterwards, Taoist Yu and Sun Tai also gained something, and got 3 or 4 soaring dragon pills. After searching the alchemy room, Zhuo Xiangwen didn't dislike the last cauldron alchemy furnace. He could sell it for as many spiritual stones as he wanted and take it away with him. Chen Qingyun and the others didn't look much at this. They knew that casual cultivators always behaved like this, so they didn't bother to fight for it. Returning to the magma fire realm again, everyone looked at each other, and Chen Qingyun directly used the purple spirit robe to cross. The remaining 4 Lingxi people started their own actions, following Chen Qingyun. Unexpectedly, after seeing the flame creatures, he was about to clean them up, but found that they seemed to have not heard of them and ignored their existence. In this regard, Chen Qingyun guessed the reason. This place is a test and is only effective for the monks who enter. Naturally, you won't be attacked by the flame creatures when you fly out. After crossing the magma fire field, and then crossing the desert, they found that they were no longer attacked by the death sandworms. This was within Chen Qingyun's expectation. No matter it is the magma fire domain. It's still this desert right now. They are all designed to test those who enter. As long as you safely reach the center of the cave and obtain the inheritance, These tests will no longer be triggered. This point was also specially formulated by Lin Qingyun. Considering that after subsequent participants obtain the inheritance, they will not fall into these two tests due to shortage of mana and other reasons. So what's the point of this kind of inheritance? The few of them flew out of the desert without any further fighting. When passing by the Jade Qiyang spiritual tree, Chen Qingyun stopped, took out the entire spiritual tree with soil, and put it into the blessed land bead, far away from Qianyu Bingyuo. Taoist Master Huiyu ignored this and glanced back at Chen Qingyun. A proud look flashed in his eyes, and he continued to fly with his head down. It seems that he wants to be the first to fly out of the cave. Such an exaggerated storage method. Seeing this, Zhuxiantu opened his mouth slightly, surprised by Chen Qingyun's methods. Because ordinary storage bags can only hold about 10 square meters of space, which is far from the requirements for storing this jade spirit tree. A storage bag with a space of at least 100 square meters is required. As a casual cultivator, why does Lu Yuang have so many treasures? Damn it, it must be an opportunity obtained from the cave. They arrived at the core area of the cave first, and they didn't know how many treasures were taken away in advance. It was really disgusting. Chen Qingyun ignored Zhuxiantu's expression and continued to move forward calmly, paying attention to whether there was any trace of the green brilliance mirror around him. The few people immersed themselves in walking without crossing paths with each other, and soon arrived at the medicine garden area. It seems that because they felt that the harvest was not enough, Zhuxiantu and Sun Tai were as anxious as monkeys to make up for their inner dissatisfaction when collecting the remaining divine springs and elixirs. Lingxi was not very interested in elixirs, so he collected some spring water and stopped taking action. Taoist priest Huiyu looked downhearted, but ignored him at all and flew away whistling, still wanting to be the first to fly out of the cave. Chen Qingyun looked at Huiyu's retreating figure. He always felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't explain it. He stopped to collect the elixir and the spring water of all things. After a while, the entrance to the cave appeared, and several people filed in, with the world spinning in front of their eyes. They quickly left the cave. When he saw the scene in front of him clearly again, a faint green light passed across the sky, quickly disappeared like a shooting star, and turned into a small black dot in the blink of an eye. Green, brilliant mirror. Chen Qingyun's eyes flashed with light, and he vaguely guessed something. Chapter 222 Final Trump Card. Until now, Lin Qingyun's inheritance has been inherited by him. The cave house was preserved separately and was not counted in the inheritance. Therefore, the existence of the cave house is equivalent to becoming a paradise, isolated from the world. It will not be opened again in the future. In this way, there is no need for the green mirror to continue to dissolve and guide the monks to come to explore treasures. This object has trace of Lin Qingyun's obsession. Because of the accumulation of more than 1,000 years, it has already developed spiritual intelligence and can come and go freely. It is estimated that in the near future, it will be like an enlightened monster, stepping into the path of cultivation, and then using the cave house as its own place of cultivation. At least there must be a residence, right? One day in the future, when I meet the green mirror again, I don't know what it will be like. Chen Qingyun's eyes flashed, watching the green mirror completely disappear from his sight, and quickly retracted his thoughts. Now is not the time to pay more attention to the green mirror. There will be a cause and effect in the future. Chen Qingyun retracted his gaze and looked around, and found that he and his friends were back on the small island where they had gathered before. The sky was clear and the sea breeze was blowing. It was noon. When he stepped into this place, he felt that the world was vast and it was like a new life. Deu, Lu, Sun will take his leave now. Sun Tai spoke first and bowed to Chen Qingyun. Without waiting for his response, he flew a small flying boat into the air, and his movements were very fast. This action was like he was in a hurry to go home and hug his wife. It was obvious that he was worried that Chen Qingyun would regret it and wanted to kill him. Chen Qingyun smiled when he heard this, and just nodded slowly, which was considered a response. When he looked at Lingxi, Zhuxiantu, and Taoist Huiyu again, The first two people each sacrificed their flying magic tools and prepared to leave. Only Taoist Huiyu looked silent with his head down. I don't know when he started to fiddle with a formation plate in his hand. Chen Qingyun was not the only one who noticed his action. Lingxi also saw it with a raised eyebrow, and her expression changed. Not good. It's a trick. At the same time, Chen Qingyun and Lingxi had bad thoughts in their minds and realized that this abnormal behavior was not right. Boom. At this moment, not far away, in the direction where Sun Tai left, a huge roar suddenly came. Several people quickly looked in the direction of the sound and saw that a sky thunder suddenly exploded, blasting out the outline of a formation, which was clearly revealed. Formation. Where did this formation come from? Who is causing trouble? Zhuxiantu exclaimed, and quickly sacrificed the Red Lotus Immortal Sword, retreating more than 10 steps as if facing a great enemy, and his eyes swept between Chen Qingyun and the other four, full of vigilance. Chen Qingyun and Lingxi looked at each other and saw the solemnity on each other's faces, and then their eyes fell on Taoist Huiyu at the same time. The sound of the turning of mechanical gears was very slight. The array disc continued to move under the continuous injection of mana. The entire island was covered by the array because the foundation of the array was laid in advance. It was activated instantly a few breaths ago, sealing off this place firmly and making it a prison. What a deep calculation! Chen Qingyun used the 1,000-star Demon Slayer sword to distance himself and looked at Taoist Huiyu coldly. All the doubts in his heart became clear at this moment. From the strange behavior of Taoist Huiyu when he first entered the entrance of the cave. Then he picked spiritual medicine and collected the divine spring of all things casually and disdainfully. Even when he saw the Yukian fruit, he did not fight for it, and always looked like watching a show. Finally, in the retreat room, he instigated several people to deal with him and Lingxi. All these things, before seeing this array. It is easy to make people think that Taoist Huiyu may not like to fight and is not active. Just accompany them to play soy sauce. As for the retreat room, he wanted to incite everyone to start a civil war, which seemed to be for the purpose of grabbing treasures. Now it seems that the purpose is very clear. This is to be the one who changes the bird behind, consume their strength in advance, and solve the difficult opponent. This formation is obviously the biggest killer of Taoist Huiyu. In addition, when they first entered the cave, the opponent took out the formation early and activated it in advance, just waiting for them to fall into the trap. When they came out, everyone had consumed a lot of true energy and physical strength, and then relied on the formation to trap and kill. Old Taoist, you set up the formation in advance. Lingxi looked solemn, slowly distanced herself from Taoist Huiyu, and moved closer to Chen Qingyun. She thought that when she first came here, Taoist Huiyu and Zhuxiantu had arrived early. They must have set up the formation and ambushed during that period. Looking at Zhuxiantu's reaction, the horrified look he showed, also knew the existence of this formation only now. Now, everyone has become a turtle in a jar. Humphrey, so what? Taoist Huiyu changed his previous appearance and his expression became gloomy. He glanced at Chen Qingyun, Lingxi, Zhuxiantu, and even Sun Tai, who was not far away, and laughed triumphantly. All the treasures you have obtained will be given to me today. As soon as the voice fell, the array pattern in the formation was agitated, rippling with powerful array power, and the intensity reached the peak of foundation building. In an instant, hundreds of blood-red flying swords condensed into shape, shining with a strange red light. A strong bloody smell emerged in the formation, which was particularly pungent. The power of the entire formation reached its peak. How could this be an ordinary formation? It was clearly a magic-killing formation. Magic formation. Zhuxiantu's expression changed drastically, and his eyes quickly looked around the formation, staring at the blood-red flying swords. The 100 Spirits Immortal Slaying Formation. He remembered that this formation had appeared in Leizu Island and slaughtered tens of thousands of people in a small town, and he immediately recognized the origin of this formation. Oh? The Taoist Huiyu sneered, completely different from his previous kind and approachable image. You actually recognize this formation? so you don't have to be a fool." Before he finished speaking, countless blood-red flying swords flew into the air, and under the control of Taoist Tuayu, they split into 4 sword streams, whimpering and whistling, and pierced Chen Qingyun and the other 4. The fierce killing aura swept over, turning into a blade, and the skin felt painful just by touching it. If he was stabbed by the blood sword, how could he still survive? Damn it! Zhuo Xiangwen was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat and couldn't help but scream in his heart. How come Lu Yuan and others are more evil than each other, cruel and fierce, and they have all kinds of treasures? Now even the Taoist Tuayu, who seems to be a friendly person, has already made plans for them and set up a formation to wait for them here. But at the beginning, when the 6 people gathered, they didn't take action. Instead, they chose to take action at this time. Calculating and calculating, what kind of monsters are these? Chapter 223 In Luo Flying Needle. As Zhuo Xiangwen gritted his teeth, he didn't even have time to think about it, and he didn't even have time to curse. He hurriedly mobilized his magic power and used his silver shield to defend himself. At the same time, facing the bloody sword flow, he came to kill. Chen Qingyun, Linksai, and Sun Tai each did not dare to hold back. While activating their defensive weapons, they rushed straight towards Taoist Tuayu. Swish, swish, swish. The speed of the blood-red flying sword is astonishing, and the power it displays has reached the level of the 2nd level formation, and can easily kill the foundation-building monks. Zhuo Xiangwen was the first to be swept away by dozens of blood-red flying swords. The silver shield in his hand was spread out in front of him. When he resisted, it made a clanging sound and exploded with large sparks. Before he could be thankful that he had withstood the attack. Behind him, a long black knife suddenly struck him, carrying a dark demonic energy, and hit him in the back with a pop. Ah! Zhuo Xiangwen failed to avoid this sneak attack and was severely injured on the spot. The sharp blood-red flying swords around him swept through him again under the movement of the formation, engulfing him. It's only been a few breaths since the formation was activated. Zhuo Xiangwen was the first to fall into the disadvantage. He struggled wildly in the sword flow, desperately took out a defensive talisman and used it without holding back at all. Suddenly, various 2nd-level low to mid-level talismans, such as the Ink Shield Talisman, the Spiritual Light Armor Talisman, the Golden Belt Talisman, etc., and 7 or 8 layers of defensive shields were superimposed on Zhuo Xiangwen's body. Judging from the many defensive talismans he carries, this person is indeed afraid of death. When he was attacked by flaming creatures in the magma fire realm, he frantically used defensive talismans and stacked armor. With so many defensive talismans on his body, he can be considered a hard-to-kill foundation-building monk. With this kind of background, in normal times, he would have a chance of surviving against those casual foundation-building monks. But who can stand here now, who is an idle monk? Under the crazy attack of this formation, even the thickest and most abundant 2nd-level defensive armor had to be weakened and cut apart layer by layer. Regarding Zhuo Xiangwen's action of filling up his defense points, Chen Qingyun glanced at it and had no time to pay attention to it. He unfolded his own defense in the purple light shield and wrapped his whole body in purple light. Continuous blood-red flying swords swept in, and were all bounced away by the purple light shield. The whistling sound of the sword energy was endless, as if you were in a hail of bullets. This 100 spirits slaying immortal formation is very similar to the small 1,000 swords formation. They both use endless flying swords as an attack method, which can forcefully trap the enemy into it and consume it alive. The 4 of them, Chen Qingyun, already had insufficient mana. Even if they recovered, they would only have 40 to 50% left. Now being trapped by the 100 spirits slaying immortal formation, great danger loomed above his head, and the pressure doubled. What, a Taoist priest, hiding his head and showing his tail like this? I really underestimate you. Sun Tai's loud shout sounded, his tone full of anger. It's just that Taoist Tuayu behaved strangely, and he didn't bother to pay much attention to it. We said goodbye today, and we will go our separate ways in the future and we won't meet him again. However, this person actually planned it from the beginning and treated them as prey, to be killed in a cage like this at this time, I suddenly felt aggrieved and angry. Wow, click, click. Sun Tai unfolded the wings of the wind and thunder heavenly sword and flapped them violently, shooting out a large number of wind and thunder heavenly swords to attack, fighting against those blood-red flying swords, making a clicking sound in the air. In a short period of time, apart from worrying about the continuous consumption of mana, there was no fear of life. Looking at Link's eye, the Nining Zhuan Shui mirror in this woman's hand has acted as a defensive weapon, blocking a large number of attacks for her. At the same time, the Ice Soul Cold Light Thorn in his hand shot out cold ice thorns one after another, hitting Taoist Huayu. Huchichi. A black flag appeared, and when it rolled with a roaring sound, a large black wind swept forward, brushing off the ice spikes struck by Link's eye and knocking them away. Two puppets swooped in at this moment and attacked Taoist Huayu from both sides. 5 elements controlled the void's laying flying knife, and Li used the demon refining tower. This caught Taoist Huayu off guard, and he quickly cast spells to dodge. 2 thunderbolts pierced the void and struck directly, blocking the front and rear sides of Taoist Huayu, forcing him to confront the 5 elements head-on. The blood-transforming black sword and the Xuxa flying sword met each other heavily. The former was shaken to the point of buzzing and trembling, and was quickly recalled and fell into the hands of Taoist Master Huayu. At the critical moment, Sun Tai came to support and joined forces with Chen Qingyun to fight against Taoist Huayu. After a few quick rounds of fighting, Chen Qingyun looked indifferent and still did not use the sea-turning ruler. You don't need to use the talisman in your hand. This is not only a foundation, but also a powerful deterrent. In his opinion, there are 2 divine sea-green lotus platforms as a supplement of true energy, which can completely consume Taoist Huayu to death here. The other party has a plan, but he doesn't. There is no need to use talismans to deal with this person. It would be better to use the 100 spirits slaying immortal formation to further consume the strength of Ling Zai, Sun Tai, and Zhuo Xiangwen. To avoid being followed secretly when you return to Zhenhai Island. Be careful when sailing the ship that lasts forever. One can clean up one. While Chen Qingyun and the others were fighting with Taoist Huayu, they attracted the other party's attention. Link's eye remained calm, and a cold light suddenly surged between her jade fingers. A streak of flying needle shot out silently and was hidden in the void. This needle is called the Yunluo Flying Needle, a second-level magic weapon. It can become invisible after being used. It is an excellent sneak attack weapon that makes people unable to guard against it. When she first seduced Chen Qingyun and asked for the Jade Cayenne fruit, Link's eye wanted to secretly use this flying needle to kill Chen Qingyun, but she failed in the end. This time, it reappeared and was used on Taoist Huayu. Taoist Huayu dodged Sun Tai's magic moon golden wheel, and when he looked sideways, he saw Link's eye using Ice Soul Cold Light Thorn to attack quickly. He mobilized dozens of blood-red flying swords to fight back, and suddenly felt a murderous intention coming from behind. This time, before he turned around, he was pierced through the arm by the Yinluo flying needle. Realizing that he was attacked by surprise, Taoist Huayu's expression changed. Bitch. He hurriedly mobilized his true energy to block the meridians in his left hand to prevent the spread of poison. Damn, Taoist, don't you want to kill us? Link's eye was not nervous at this time, but smiled like a flower. With a wave of her jade hand, the Yinluo flying needle disappeared into her sleeves. Let you taste the taste of being killed in return. As she spoke, she raised her right hand, revealing the bracelet talisman on her wrist, but she had no intention of activating it for the time being. She and Chen Qingyun had the same plan, trying to save their magic power and leaving behind a trump card to deal with the next possible battle. This Taoist Huayu claimed to be smart, but it was just a means for her to kill someone with a borrowed knife. A scream rang out. Under the crazy sweep and slash of the blood-red flying sword, Zhuo Xiangwen's layers of defensive shields were broken, and his magic power was exhausted. Before he could recover, he was pierced by more than 10 blood-red flying swords and died on the spot. Sun Tai was quick-eyed and quick-handed. When he swung his sleeves, he had already set his sights on Zhuo Xiangwen's storage bag. A few silver threads shot out from the cuffs, wrapped around the storage bag on Zhuo Xiangwen's waist, and took it back into his hand. At the same time, the Red Lotus Immortal Sword lost control, and before it fell to the ground, Chen Qingyun took advantage of the situation and rolled up the Immortal Sword and put it into the storage bag. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 224, Swallowing the Demon Pill. Zhuo Xiangwen's death did not affect Chen Qingyun and Sun Tai at all. Ever since he revealed that he was from the Sun family. Sun Tai had already secretly decided that Zhuo Xiangwen could not be left alive and had to be killed to silence him. To prevent him from climbing up the ladder to Nangong Yuang and informing him of the news. Among the few people, Chen Qingyun was not sure of winning, so he did not go head-on, which was also a helpless move. That's why he took the initiative to offer the Fuhai ruler to save his life. Ling Zai came from Huanmo Island, and he was from a different world. He was hostile to Xingzong and was eager to see Xingzong suffer a setback. How could he help the old thief Ningong Ming? As for this Taoist priest Tuayu, he hadn't made a move yet, but the other party couldn't help it first, so he took this opportunity to kill him. For Chen Qingyun, the appearance of Zhuo Xiangwen was just a passerby on the long road of cultivation. The other party had shown murderous intent before, wanting to kill him and seize the opportunity, so why should he show mercy? Zhuo Xiangwen was beheaded, and his belongings were quickly divided. Ling Zai's smile faded a little, and he took the initiative to distance himself from Chen Qingyun and the other two. Taoist Tuayu's face was as gloomy as water, and his left hand was injured, which reduced his strength a lot. With a fierce look on his face, he decisively took out 2 demon pills, held them in his hand, and swallowed them in one gulp. That was the demon pill of the death sandworm. As expected. Chen Qingyun raised his eyebrows, confirming his guess, and felt that Taoist Tuayu's behavior was not in line with his status. He was afraid that he had been possessed by a demon. Ha 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 ha. After swallowing 2 demon pills of the death sandworm in succession, Taoist Tuayu suddenly laughed like crazy. Then, a strange scene appeared, and his face showed resistance again. It seemed that he was refusing to swallow the evil demon pill, or for some other reason. However, this look of resistance quickly flashed away. After swallowing 2 demon pills, the violent and filthy evil power instantly spread out, filling the body's tendons and limbs. Taoist Tuayu originally had very little left, only 30% of his true essence, which was rapidly filled at this time and filled with the power of this demon pill. His strength has improved even more. With the blessing of the power of the second-level top-grade demon pill, he broke through the final step in one fell swoop and reached the peak of the late stage of foundation building. While recovering his magic power, he instantly gained more than a year of hard work. 2 demon pills. Ling Zai frowned. Watching Taoist Tuayu swallow 2 demon pills in a row regardless of the evil and filthy air of the demon pills. I feel more and more that this person has long lost the magic style that a Taoist should have. Along the way, the other party didn't know when he got an extra demon pill. He said that it might be useful later, but he ended up using it like this. With his strength restored and improved, Taoist Tuayu's mind became even crazier, as if he was completely mad. He controlled the array with a strange smile, and a large number of blood-red flying swords whistled and gathered around him. As his mind moved, these blood-red flying swords split into 3 sword streams, stirring up rolling evil spirits, reaching the peak power of the foundation building period. They attacked Chen Qingyun, Ling Zai, and Sun Tai respectively. Ling Zai reacted quickly, using the magic body technique, regardless of the consumption of mana, bursting out with an agile figure, and dodged the sword stream attack very lightly. At the same time, she had some free time. When her jade hand waved, the Yin Luo flying needle flew out again, hitting Taoist Tuayu directly. Looking at Sun Tai's side, this person's response was much more domineering. Not only did he not dodge, but he took out 3 Tanlai seeds and threw them directly to meet the sword stream. Boom boom boom. 3 huge explosions sounded, and 3 mid-stage foundation building powers erupted, smashing the sword flow into pieces and scattering. Sun Tai spread his wind and thunder blade wings and moved quickly. He found the right opportunity and controlled the magic moon golden wheel to slash at Taoist Huayu from 3 directions, forcing the other party to face him head-on. Just after avoiding the attack of Yinluo Phazon, Taoist Huayu's face was as gloomy as water, and he was not worried about the loss of mana at this time. He once again offered the black flag, and when he waved it fiercely, he sent out a gloomy black wind, sweeping away a magic moon golden wheel that was slashing from the front. The remaining 2 were quickly dodged by his body movements. The full true energy in his body made him feel rejuvenated and confident to kill Chen Qingyun and the other 2. Unless Chen Qingyun and Ling's Eye ignored themselves and took the lead in using the talisman to attack. But would they be willing to do so? Once one of the 2 talismans was used, the person holding the talisman behind would definitely become the final winner. Who would be willing to use the talisman before the moment of life and death? While thinking this in his heart, he looked in the direction of Chen Qingyun, and saw Chen Qingyun's figure disappearing quickly. No, it's not disappearing, but hiding by some means. In just a blink of an eye, the whole person disappeared without a trace. Covering one's ears and stealing the bell is deceiving oneself and others. Seeing this, Taoist Huayu sneered and directly opened his spiritual sense, wanting to pull Chen Qingyun out and slap him in the face. Before in the magma fire area, Chen Qingyun hid his figure in the same way, and the spiritual sense didn't work at that time. He must have taken advantage of the environment. But this is the Bailing Zhangxian formation, not a cave. While guarding against the attacks of Ling's Eye and Sun Tai, the spiritual sense quickly explored, and the range was so large that it covered the entire formation. But then, Taoist Huayu's expression suddenly froze, and his smile disappeared. Where did the person go? While he was confused, Taoist Huayu was startled and felt a chill down his spine, as if he was being watched by some ancient beast in the dark. Not far away, Ling's Eye and Sun Tai had been watching the whole situation and knew every detail of the battle. Chen Qingyun's sudden disappearance could not escape their eyes. What a powerful hiding technique! Ling's Eye rarely showed a fearful look, and also displayed his spiritual sense to try to find Chen Qingyun's figure, but found nothing. Chen Qingyun seemed to have evaporated, disappearing without a trace, and even the spiritual sense did not reveal any clues. Magic weapon cover? Sun Tai and Ling's Eye had similar expressions, guessing that Chen Qingyun had used some magic weapon to achieve this effect. While the 3 were looking for Chen Qingyun. At this time, an invisible figure had approached behind Taoist Huayu, appearing silently. The 1000-star Demon Slayer sword appeared, pierced directly from behind Taoist Huayu, and pierced through his chest. Such a sudden attack at such a close distance made it impossible for Taoist Huayu to dodge. Even if he activated the defensive magic weapon to resist, there was not enough time. With a huge pain coming, Taoist Huayu frowned deeply and looked down. He saw the red sword tip piercing out of his chest at the position of his heart. When he turned back with difficulty, he saw Chen Qingyun removing the purple spirit robe to cover himself, and drew his sword with an indifferent look and retreated. Chapter 225 Demonic Cultivator takes over the body. The whole process from Chen Qingyun hiding his body to attacking took only 2 or 3 breaths, and he killed Taoist Huayu with 1 blow. Before he died, Taoist Huayu would not have thought that he would be killed in this way. His face was full of anger and unwillingness, and his body fell limply, completely losing resistance. Such injuries are fatal enough for a foundation-building cultivator. Unless there is a magic medicine to treat it, there is no way to save the situation. Taoist Huayu would never have it. Ling's Eye and Sun Tai, who were standing aside, saw Chen Qingyun so determined and killed Taoist Huayu with 1 sword. While they were shocked by Chen Qingyun's strength, they realized that this person was not without the ability to eliminate them. The several attacks in this formation were more like warm-ups than resistance. This is a ruthless person who cannot be provoked. Ling's Eye and Sun Tai had this thought in their minds at the same time, and they subconsciously pulled away from Chen Qingyun. At this time, look at Taoist Huayu. 2 souls emerged from the body and floated in the void. This scene made Chen Qingyun's expression move, and his eyes were attracted by the two souls. As a foundation-building cultivator, how could he have two souls? Not only him. Ling Zai and Sun Tai were also attracted and stopped thinking about taking action. They surrounded Chen Qingyun and surrounded the two souls. One of the two souls appeared in the appearance of Taoist Huyu, which was not difficult to recognize. It just looked quite illusory and was about to disappear at any time. However, the other one was very different. It appeared in the image of an old man with a feminine face. He didn't look like a good guy, and there was a bit of demonic energy in his soul. Demon, cultivator, taking over the body. The two words emerged in Chen Qingyun's mind, and he instantly understood the situation in front of him. However, it seemed a little wrong. If it was taking over the body, the original owner's soul would have been devoured and abolished long ago. It is impossible to keep it, and that is the problem. When he was confused, he didn't have time to think more. Be careful. Sun Tai shouted. Chen Qingyun saw that the soul of the demon cultivator had a ferocious face and suddenly rushed towards him, obviously wanting to seize his body again. Chen Qingyun's expression turned cold, and he directly launched the power of his soul, and the effect of the soul-nourishing jade was activated at the same time. The demon cultivator's soul acted decisively and took a fancy to Chen Qingyun's body. When he just came into contact, he was forcibly shaken away by the defensive effect of the soul-nourishing jade, and he couldn't enter Chen Qingyun's body at all. He didn't give up and wanted to act again. The soul of the Taoist Huyu made some moves at this time, floating towards Chen Qingyun, wanting to help Chen Qing fight against this demon cultivator. Seeing the two souls move, Chen Qingyun looked normal, and touched the storage bag with his palm. A small tower flew out quickly, injected with mana, and enveloped the demon cultivator's soul. Demon refining tower. With the blessing of mana, the demon refining tower expanded to the size of a person, emitting the power to restrain demons. Just like that, the demon cultivator's soul was imprisoned in the air, unable to move. Then, under the other party's horrified gaze, the whole set was put down in a swish. What kind of magic weapon is this? No, it was not until this time that the demon cultivator finally spoke, and hurriedly begged for mercy, revealing a deep fear. The surrounding formations still exist. Ling Sai and Sun Tai looked at each other, and fell to the ground one after another. While saving mana, they were also curious about the state of the soul of the Taoist Huyu. The origin of the demon cultivator's soul. One body, two souls coexist. This is an extremely rare thing. Deu, Lu, please kill it. No mercy. The soul of Taoist Huyu spoke. The soul power was extremely weak, and it was on the verge of dissipation. Even if Taoist Huyu did not speak. Of course I have to kill him. Chen Qingyun had no intention of showing mercy. He activated the demon refining tower, and the demon refining fire inside it surged. Amid a few screams, the demon cultivator was turned into ashes. The pagoda spun and flew back to his side. Chen Qingyun, Ling Zai, and Sun Tai's eyes fell directly on the soul of Taoist Huyu. Master, do you have anything else to say? Chen Qingyun's eyes were gleaming, and he spoke. The demon refining tower in front of him was still emitting divine power and could attack again at any time. Of course. The soul of Taoist Huyu stayed on his body, with a look of regret on his face. He quickly organized his words and explained the whole story. It turned out that the cause of this incident was still from the Pinyao Island tragedy 2 years ago. That year, a demon cultivator maintained his practice in order to satisfy his selfish desires. So he set up the Bailing Immortal Slaying Array on Pinyao Island, trapped and killed more than 100 cultivators and more than 100,000 mortals on the island, and launched a monstrous massacre. Taoist Huyu was traveling around the area that year. After sensing the demonic energy, he quickly went to check it out, and the battle to eliminate the demon began. Originally, according to his strength in the late stage of foundation building, it would only take some effort to kill this demon. However, the demon cultivators were cunning and threatened the lives of tens of thousands of mortals, causing him to be ambushed by the demon cultivators when he was distracted. Although he became the only survivor on Pinyao Island that year, His body was coveted by a demon cultivator and was taken over. It's just that I don't know why, or it's the obsession in my heart that resisted. The demon cultivator could not devour his soul completely no matter what, and they miraculously coexisted. This is the special situation before us. The demon cultivator occupied the right to use this body and inherited the memory. At the same time, he tried every means to constantly devour the remaining soul of Taoist Huayu, wanting to completely replace it. This continued until today. Chen Qingyun killed his body and his soul could no longer accommodate it, and he finally got rid of it. In fact, this can be regarded as Chen Qingyun helping him solve a big problem and pulling him out of the quagmire of pain. As a Taoist master of Hongxia Temple, he was possessed by a demon cultivator because of his efforts to eliminate demons and defend the way. This is a regrettable thing in itself. Hongxia Temple is estimated to no longer exist and has become the food of the demon cultivator. Chen Qingyun pondered for a moment and could only sigh slightly in the end. Now that these things are known, it is too late to make up for them and there is no ability to change them. After explaining the reason for this matter, Taoist Huayu showed a bitter smile. The weak soul became more and more transparent due to being exposed to the outside world for a long time, and was on the verge of dissipating. "Thank you, little friend Lu." Taoist Huayu showed a kind smile, glanced at Sun Tianling's eye, and then his eyes fell on Chen Qingyun, and his voice became ethereal. "It's time for me to leave, so I'll take my leave." There was a sense of relief in his tone. There was no resentment, displeasure, anger or other emotions towards Chen Qingyun. The tone was like the farewell of an old friend. But there was no possibility of meeting Chen Qingyun again. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.